Block 1. Audiobook title, The Villainous Goddess, 01-50, by SoupwithSpoon. This work belongs to author, SoupwithSpoon. Chapter 1. I am Estella Duvel, the highest-ranking goddess known to ever exist. I find pity in everyone. I created a land for the gods to roam, and the place we once lived in was invaded by humans, mortal beings. I was quite upset on how the humans had treated our land, and so I created the so-called afterlife for humans. As we gods are immortal, the mortals will perish once their time is up. I let the good roam freely and the bad be corrupt, and their souls will be forever in my keeping. I started reincarnating people from 10,000 years ago. I stumbled across this pitiful duke's daughter, Charlotte Alpheus. She was abused and neglected all her life. Once she had enough, she committed suicide. I found her rather pitiful, and I reincarnated her soul in a more comfortable environment where the family loved her and cherished their every second with her. Now from the point forward, I then transferred myself into Charlotte's body. I felt my whole body aching when I awoke. I was still half dead, lying on the floor, as I saw the balcony from above that the original Charlotte has jumped off from. Estella heals the wounded body that she has possessed with her divine powers. She slowly tries to walk with her feet. She then gets hit with a shock and recovers all of Charlotte's memories. How terrible, she thought to herself. Well, at least I'll be able to myself around this place now that I have her memories. I hear a maid call out Charlotte's name with a displeased look on her face. She yelled at Charlotte. "You bitch! How dare you run away from me? You should be grateful the Duke hasn't thrown you out from this place. You're living luxuriously. Stop being such a brat and get back in." I look into her dead in the eyes. The maid takes a step back in horror as she feels a dark aura surrounding her. Does this lowly maid think she can defy me? Is she mentally ill? Hell, glaring at her isn't enough. I wanted to pull every strand of her hair out, but refrained from it as it would cause suspicions. I calmly give her the hint and I followed behind her. I let out a sigh to suppress my anger. I enter my room and check the closet. "You call these clothes? They're all worn out." I march towards my sister's room and peek into her closet. It's filled with nice clothing. She wasn't in the room, so I took one of the more modest looking outfits and wore it. I then went to the dining room to have some food. The whole family was there, excluding me, till I waltzed in. I had no expression. I just stared them down despite the anger that was rising from within me. "So all of you have been here while I was in my room having stale bread to eat?" I said, irritated. The Duke stood up and yelled, "Young lady, you are not permitted to enter this room. Get out. I've had enough. This family deserves to go to hell. All of them. I know where I'll be sending their souls. Bunch of dipshits." "Father dearest, I hope you mind your manners as your residents are watching. Don't make a fool out of yourself." I walk out and head straight to the kitchen. At the kitchen, the chefs and maids stared at me with a surprised look on their faces. They've never met Charlotte and only heard nasty rumors about her being weak and fragile. "I want to cook some food for myself. May you please lend me some dough and tomato sauce?" The chef responded. "Ah, sure. Maids, please bring her the ingredients." The maids stared at Charlotte but did what the chef told them to do. I started making pasta from a soul I saw from another realm. I was craving it the first time I saw it 130 years ago. After I was done the pasta making, I displayed it in a very exquisite manner. The chef and maids were shocked to see how skilled Charlotte was and gave her a praise in their hearts. Charlotte has won their favor. She ate it with joy as the flavor was quite nice. She also shared some leftovers to the chef and maids to let them try it out. They liked it very much that hearts were spinning around their heads. Charlotte walks to her room and stumbles across her half-sister, Amelia. She was a cocky little BTCH who always talked about how her parents loved her more than Charlotte. Charlotte, on the other hand, was unfazed since she wasn't the real Charlotte anyway. Estella was loved by millions, so it didn't bother her if some mortal beings didn't like her. Amelia saw how Charlotte wasn't reacting and then shouted at her. "Why aren't you reacting? Are you deaf? Also, who gave you the right to wear my clothes, you dirty rat? You're quite immature for a 14-year-old. Little sister, please mature yourself. I'm worried for your future." Charlotte walked away and turned back to glance at Amelia's mad face. Charlotte then stumbled across her brother, the next heir of the dukedom. Charlotte seemed displeased as she knew what was coming. Probably an ignorant little kid. The brother of Charlotte, Asher Alpheus spoke to her in a sullen tone. How dare you speak to father like that? Who do you think you are? You're pathetic. This little shit is annoying. Can't I have a break from this dumb household for once? She didn't bother and walked around him, causing him to grip her arm in anger. Charlotte turned around and stared at him dead in the eye with the look of death. Asher let go and fell back in fright. He never seen her that cold before. Even when he bullied her as a child, she would cry her eyes out. Charlotte continued walking to her room. Finally, peace and quiet. I don't know how long I'll have to put up with this bullcrap of a household before I find happiness. I guess I'll have to put up with it for a long while. Charlotte went to sleep. Chapter 2. It was a new day. No one went to wake Charlotte up. As expected, she wasn't loved. At least I'll have my privacy. I don't need any maid to dress me up. Charlotte sits down as she sews her old worn out clothes with some fabric she collected earlier. She was truly a talented being, as expected of the goddess Estella. She sews a very modest dress, a dress that could be worn outside without it looking like a commoner's dress, yet wasn't as fancy either like what nobles would wear. Charlotte proceeds to wash herself and dresses up so she could take a stroll in the garden. The garden was quite the sight. As she walked through the path, tree leaves fell down gracefully, like a scene in a movie. Some maids working in the garden saw her and gasped as they thought they had seen an angel. They never realized how beautiful Charlotte was since she was always covered with black and blue. She gazed at the flowers while picking some to make a flower crown. These flowers are really pretty, unlike this filthy idiotic household. I'm glad I sent the old Charlotte to a better one. Her mother saw her in the garden picking flowers. She hurriedly ran out whilst shouting Charlotte's name. Charlotte. Hello, mother. What brings you here? Who said you could pick these flowers? Only Amelia can. What the actual fuck? Excuse me, mother, but why is only Amelia allowed? What's the difference between me and her anyway? You ungrateful brat. Just shut up. Amelia is better than you in every way. She's joyous and fun unlike you. Well, she doesn't seem so fun, more like a genuine spoiled brat. Plus the majority of maids don't like her anyway. Mother, I wonder why I'm not as fun and joyous as her? Ah, I know now. It's because you fools didn't raise me correctly like parents are supposed to. I don't understand why you don't like me that much, but if you really can't stand me, why bother even talk to me? Isn't that bringing yourself trouble? You're running into a hole you created. I walk away and glanced at her with a death stare. She of course was frightened like everyone else, yet she still yelled the name, Charlotte, over and over again. It was good that she didn't chase after her though. Otherwise there would be some problems. This family's really frustrating. I don't know how much patience I have left till I flip this place upside down. Charlotte found a hole in the wall and climbed out, finally some time away at the mansion. It was a living hell in there. Charlotte quickly went back in and took some money to go out, then returned outside. Charlotte sneakily found her way to the capital. It was so lively and amazing. She glanced at some food stalls and her mouth started drooling. She bought some kebabs and then went to a tailor shop to get better clothing for herself, as she had many unwearable clothing at the mansion. She entered the tailor's shop gracefully and got rid of the leftover kebab sticks with her divine power. She bought some banquet-worthy clothing and modest outfits for outings. She also requested a custom horse riding outfit just in case. She then went over to the men's section. Whoa! Actual pants and suits. If only I was a man, I'd be able to wear this, unlike those heavy fluffy skirts. It'd be really comfortable. Well, beats me. I'm gonna get them anyway. Could I also have these? Keep them in the same bag. Ah, are you buying them for your lover? Lover? Like I lover have one. PFT. Ah, yeah. It doesn't have to be separately packaged though. I'll deal with it. She lied swiftly. After the tailor packages up the order. Here you go. Come again. Bring your lover here next time as well. She waved with a smile. Charlotte then went home and started getting lost in her thoughts. A lover, huh? I've spent most of my years single. In fact, I've never dated anybody even in the world of the gods. It's not like I needed one anyways. I've never cared about having a companion. Estella never cared about having a lover since she has seen many souls' hearts break because of a certain somebody. Her heart ached for them, so she swore to herself that she wouldn't date an unfaithful person. Losing her thoughts, the skies have darkened and Charlotte dozed off. Days went by and she continued to go in and out of the building unnoticed. Some of the maids grew suspicious of her since they never found her anywhere, but they didn't care nonetheless. Suddenly, a day where her father called all the children to the main room to discuss about something. Children, your coming of age ceremony is around the corner. We have received an invitation to the royal palace that holds the ceremony. Now that you all are about to become real adults, I hope you three can be as successful as I. The coming of age ceremony, males adult reaching ages 18 to 21, and females are 14 to 17. You will only 4 chances, each a year to reach high society. Charlotte didn't go last year as she was locked in the room when the ceremony was held. This year, Asher was 18, Amelia was 14 and Charlotte was 16. Their father finally allowed them all to attend. As Asher and Amelia went out with their mother to find outfits, Charlotte was locked up in her room not being able to buy anything. It was okay though as she had many secret outfits she bought for herself. She then wore a dark red lace dress with a cardigan covering her shoulders. She wore red butterfly accessories and ruby red earrings. She then applied some natural makeup as she was already stunning. She turned to the mirror and found herself a beautiful woman. It was herself obviously. She was an absolute beauty, nobody could compare. She was seriously gonna be the most beautiful woman at the ceremony. Father, mother and the other children had already left for the ceremony since they didn't want to sit next to the worthless child. As she went out from her room, and walked along the halls, all the maids stared at her with their mouths hanging open, thinking they have just witnessed an angel fall from heaven. Charlotte got onto another carriage and got to the royal palace. She didn't arrive with the Duke and Duchess. So this is the royal palace. It's twice the size of our Duke mansion. Chapter 3. They had already welcomed the Duke and Duchess Alpheus and their children, except Charlotte. Charlotte enters the royal entrance and the knight providing the names to the audience asks who she was. Ma'am, I don't think you're permitted to enter. Did you receive an invite? I'm Charlotte Alpheus, first daughter of the Duke Alpheus. The knight apologized to her hurriedly, and then announced, Charlotte Alpheus has arrived. As Charlotte was coming down from the stairs, she felt stares from both men and women. She gazed at the audience and saw men's mouth wide open and saliva drooling, whilst part of the women looked at me with hatred and disgust while the rest looked at me with a bright smile from her beauty. The Duke, Duchess and the 2 children by their side gasped and displayed a displeased look on their faces. Charlotte glanced at them with a light grin on her face and went over to the food section and sat. Some ladies came up to her to start a conversation, which was quite delightful as they had really wanted to meet the first daughter of Alpheus. They started talking about how stunning she was, then went on with the daily gossip from other social circles. On the other hand, whispers surrounded Charlotte. Was she always this pretty? I heard she got abused. Ha, she probably did something bad. Charlotte paid no attention towards these rude nasty rumors, although she glared at them to make them stop talking about her. Of course some stopped and some didn't. It was quite a delightful surprise that she scared off such noble ladies like that. She wanted to giggle. She carried the conversation that she was having with the other ladies though. It was really fun. Her father walked up to her with an expressionless face and said, Child, we have to go greet some of our guests. Alright. She then waved at the ladies with a soft smile on her face and walked together with her father. She greeted the Baron, Count, Viscount, etc. Her father then walked towards the king and his son. Charlotte gracefully tails behind her father, sister and brother. Greetings and blessings upon your majesty of Dianlund, his majesty the prince of Dianli. This is my son Asher Alpheus and daughter, Amelia Alpheus. Ha ha. No need for honorifics, Derek. Anyway, who's that girl behind you three? She's young and beautiful. Derek equals the Duke Alpheus. Sheila equals the Duchess Alpheus. Greetings and blessings upon your majesty of Dianlund, his majesty the prince of Dianli. I am the first daughter of Duke Alpheus, Charlotte Alpheus. It's a pleasure to be in your presence, your majesty. A smile appears on the king's face as he realizes she was the only one who greeted him and his son while the other 2 children were busy staring at the prince. I'm pleased to meet you two, young one. This is my son Elijah, my only child. The young boy took my hand and held it to give it a small peck on the surface. Pleased to meet such beautiful lady like you, he said in a seducing tone. I can see right through him. Does he think I'm a fool? I'm pleased to meet you too, your highness. I did a curtsy. Glancing at my brother and sister, they looked disgusted and irritated as the prince did not greet them first. I saw my sister turn to the prince and I saw hearts around her head. Love a girl. I somewhat pity her. Her heart's gonna be broken. Young people blinded by love. How sad. I excused myself and I walked towards the waiter who had a tray of beverages in his hand and cloth in his other. I grabbed one and enjoyed myself. Suddenly a lady threw a glass of wine on my dress. What the actual fuck? The lady then said in a sarcastic tone. Ah, I'm so sorry. I accidentally spilled wine on your dress. Who does this bitch think she is? It's alright. When the lady glanced at something else for a moment, I quickly snapped my fingers using my divine powers to get rid of the stain. She then turned her attention to me and she saw no stain. She was filled with shock and I walked away. This place is tiring. I thought I'd be able to escape that crazy environment for at least a few hours, she sighed to herself, barely audible to the human ears. Charlotte saw a door outside and exited the building to see a beautiful garden. As she strolled down grass-paved way, she picked up a flower and admired the beauty of it. She then saw a fountain and walked up to it, sitting on the edge of the fountain, swishing the water and felt the cool breeze chill down her whole body. Huh? What's that? Charlotte sensed a huge amount of divine energy radiating around her. She made sure that her divine power was sealed. So why is there divine power roaming around? She looked around and saw a light shadow of a man with snow white hair. Truly gorgeous. He landed his gaze on Charlotte and his eyes widened. Charlotte saw his cold blue eyes filled with loneliness. She felt a familiar presence. He disappeared into thin air. What was that? She ran towards where the man was standing before. There it is. She sensed it. A mysterious energy that she had experienced thousands of years ago. She wasn't wrong. It was the same person that radiated this kind of mysterious divine energy. She then stopped, speechless. To think this godlike being is roaming around the world of humans and radiating out huge amounts of divine energy like that. She then snapped out of her own trance and walked back into the palace. She was greeted by the prince. What does this man want now? I let out an inaudible sigh. Greetings to your majesty. What brings you here? May I please have this dance, my lady? He said, smirking. I said teasingly, don't wince when I accidentally step on your feet, your highness. Just a slight warning beforehand. He chuckled and nodded, bringing me to the dance floor. We danced graciously while many people stared at us, including my sister. I aligned my gaze on her, smirked and continued to dance elegantly. The look on her face was really worth it for dancing with this womanizer. Charlotte just wanted to burst out laughing right then and there. Once the first dance was over, I hurried and found a spot to sit so I didn't have to go through that dancing hell ever again. It was quite exhausting. Once it hit midnight, everyone started leaving one by one while being escorted by a servant or knight. I, for one, didn't have an escort, so I just walked on my own while my family had already left me. They didn't care if I rot here anyway, it would be better for them. Although, the prince suddenly came out and escorted me onto the carriage. He smiled. Till next time, MHM. Your Highness. Have a good night. Once I got back home, I legit almost got jumped by my parents. What did you do back there, huh? You even danced with the prince. Do you know how sad your sister is right now? Go to your room, you brat. My dad waltzed towards me angrily, about to slap me. I made him slip on water. A small grin appeared on my face, and said, Father, how careless of you. How about instead of trying to come over here and slap me, you go comfort your dearest daughter born by a lowly maid that you had an affair with. Isn't that right, mother? I turned my gaze towards my mother, with a smile. I then turned around and went straight to my room while waving to my parents. What a pain. What was that now back at the garden? I could have sworn I've met him before. Where? I dozed off thinking about it. Chapter 4. The sun shone through the window as the light lays on Charlotte's skin, waking her up slowly. Oh, what time is it? Did I doze off? I don't know. What's that sound? Charlotte takes a peek out the window. A royal carriage? I swear if it's that indecent womanizing prince, I'm actually gonna run. Charlotte hurries and dresses up in a pale pink knee-length dress with cute pink earrings. She goes downstairs to see what the commotion was about. She stares in horror. It's the prince. Ah, well, here goes. Charlotte turns her gaze from the prince and sprints towards the exit, She was quite a skilled runner and grabbed her shoes while she was at it. The prince ordered the guards to chase her down. Charlotte turned back to see how the guards were going after her and started to sprint with more momentum and swiftness. Charlotte reached the capital and she quickly rushed towards the huge crowd. The guards lost track of her in the sea of people and returned back to inform the prince. Charlotte was relieved, and since she sneakily snuck some money in her little pocket pouch, she didn't know what she would do once she was caught, but didn't think too much about it. She saw a cotton candy stall and went towards it. A boy around her age with dark brown hair and green eyes was also at the stall. She couldn't care less though. They both made eye contact. She felt a familiar presence from him but didn't really care since she just wanted cotton candy. After buying the cotton candy, she ran off. The boy got caught off guard but then also paid for the cotton candy. Charlotte realized a festival was being held at the capital as it was a national celebration day for them. Well, isn't that nice? She saw a parade coming in and saw many different beautiful carriages drive through the streets of the capital. It was truly a mesmerizing sight. After the parade was over, people scattered everywhere like wild animals. Charlotte smelled a very delicious scent, and since she's weak to food, she followed the scent like a chick following its mother. It brought her to an alley and saw people with hoods. "Eh? What's this?" She hid behind a crate while eavesdropping on the conversation. "Number 1. Do you have the supplies?" "They have been prepared. We're just waiting for the commander." "What the fuck is going on?" Charlotte saw popcorn in one of the hooded human's hand. So that's where the smell was coming from. Charlotte paid no more attention to the scent. She just kept listening. A strange man appeared out of nowhere, made some kind of sign with his fingers and checked his surroundings. Charlotte made sure she was hidden with her divine powers. "Commander, you have arrived. Please tell us the plan." "I can't tell you all out in the open. People might be watching." Charlotte turns on her invisibility as she followed the hooded men. "Why am I even doing this? If only I didn't get carried away." "Ah, well, I've already gone this far." The men entered a bar. The commander called the waiter and asked, "I want scorching hot coffee." The waiter nodded and brought them into a hidden trapdoor. Under was an underground base. "So that's the secret code." The men revealed themselves, taking off their coats. "Isn't that the man I saw at the cotton candy stall? He's a part of this?" "What, Commander?" "Ah well, let me explain. There's a group of kidnappers called the Devil Eye, and apparently they've abducted several women, and we were ordered by His Royal Majesty to hunt them down and free the women. So they aren't bad men, a good sign. So, what are we going to do?" "One of us has to dress as an innocent woman to attract the hidden kidnappers' attention." "I never agreed to that." 3 of the 4 men that were there said. "PFT. Men in dresses would be quite the scene." Charlotte wanted to laugh but couldn't to avoid getting caught, so she held it in. Although she let out a small croak. "We shall discuss the full plan same time tomorrow." They all nod. I quickly followed them back up to the surface. Then I quietly trailed the boy I saw at the cotton candy stall. I don't know why I did it. I just had to out of instinct. He stopped and sighed. "I know you're here. Show yourself." "What the fuck?" "Stop pretending and come out. It's no use." Charlotte looked frustrated as she didn't know what to do. She just kept as silent as she could without breathing. A few moments later, she finally decided to reveal herself. Blinding light shone brightly in front of the boy, revealing the Duke's daughter, Charlotte. "How, huh? How did you sense my presence but they didn't?" Charlotte stares around him and sees a carriage not far from where she was standing that had a royal crest on it. "I sensed her presence because Charlotte covers his mouth and then rushes with him to an alleyway. She lets go off him. "I apologize for my lack of manners, but can we go into a building to discuss this matter?" He nodded and Charlotte grabbed his hand and pulled him to a building with very less windows. "You're being followed, aren't you?" "Shit. He saw right through me." "Yeah, anyway, continue what you were trying to say earlier." "I sensed you cause I heard a slight noise from the underground basement." "Fuck." He knew I was there. "Also, I matched up the sound from my footsteps and it didn't match the sound that appeared after, so that's why he was looking down while walking." "Smart man." "I just got curious and followed you. Plus I only stumbled across you guys cause I smelled popcorn." "That doesn't give you a right to follow us though." Charlotte was embarrassed, although didn't think much of it. "I'd like to be a part of your plan. As much as I'd like to see one of you men appear in dresses, I'd much rather beat up men who kidnapped women for their own likings." He thought about it for a second and said, "I have 2 conditions." "Shoot." "1, what's your name?" "2, Why are you being chased? My name's Charlotte. My last name doesn't matter. I was being chased by the Crown Prince cause he visited my residence and I ran from him. He let out a slight chuckle, and I joined him. Both of us were laughing our asses off like children. So am I in or not? I have to inform the commander and see if you're allowed. I'd better get the spot or else. I told him that information for nothing. I nod. Well, I'm probably gonna get caught sooner or later. I'll see you tomorrow then, I guess. Same time tomorrow? I let out a small grin and he did too. Alright. I run out and a carriage stopped in front of me. I act like I didn't know that a carriage was there in the first place. The prince stepped out with an irritated expression. I just smiled in response. Sigh. Ha ha. As I walked towards the prince, he escorted me onto the carriage and we both left the capital and back to my home. I'm prepared to go through lots of lecturing. Chapter 5. After arriving home, I faced a decent amount of scolding, although I didn't really care since I've gotten used to this. I turned to the prince out of curiosity and asked, "What brings you here, Your Majesty?" "I want you to be my fiancé." Everyone froze. Amelia heard this and her face turned pale. I was just standing there in full shock. Huh? I take a deep breath while thinking of what to respond. "Your Majesty, how could I dare to have you as my fiancé? I'm the worthless daughter of the Duke. It would be better if you were to marry my sister, Amelia. I'm sure you both would look good together." I glance at my sister. She stares right back at me with a confused look. "Although, father requested me to take your hand in marriage." Charlotte. I see. "Well, I still think you would look better with my sister. Please inform His Majesty that, I would not dare to have such a young good-looking prince as my fiancé." The prince flashed a confused look but went back to a soft smile on his face. "I see, but why did you run off into the capital?" "Well, I was excited to go out as I planned to today. I didn't realize you were here and sprinted out with excitement." "I apologize, Your Highness." She lied. Alright. "Well, have a nice day." He kisses Charlotte's hand. Once the prince leaves their estate, Charlotte lets out a huge sigh, not knowing that the family was still in shock as they stare at Charlotte. Fuck, they saw what happened. Sigh. Amelia jumped on Charlotte while hugging her. "You really did that for me?" With a big smile on her face. "Yes, sister." "You think I had a choice? I'm not gonna fucking engage myself with a guy who's gonna flirt with other women while engaged to me. That's disgusting." I got up from my sister's embrace and walked straight to my room. Well, that was surely something. Charlotte was still in a small shock. It was a new day. Charlotte got into a black cloak and proceeded to sneak out while putting on a white mask to hide her appearance. It was a new day to meet the guy from the cotton candy stall. She went to the bar, and asked the waiter, "I want scorching hot coffee." The waiter nodded and led me to the underground base. I waited around 20 minutes till they finally arrived. I saw the cloakmen come down and was shocked that I was there. We eyed each other down for a minute straight till the cotton candy stall man broke the silence. "Commander, she's the person I spoke to you about yesterday. Her name's Charlotte." "I see." The four men removes their cloaks and masks, revealing themselves. Charlotte followed along and revealed a young gorgeous 16-year-old girl. One of the men drooled without even noticing. Charlotte just stared awkwardly. "So, am I in?" "I can fight," one of the other men said. "Ha! You, fight? Ridiculous. Little girl, you should just sit down and be pretty with that face of yours." Is he belittling me? I'll show this cocky brat. A second later, the guy who ridiculed Charlotte was on his knees aching from the punch Charlotte shot at him. Charlotte uses her hand and lifts up his chin while he was squealing in pain. "Who's acting like a little girl now?" "You little shit should know your place." "She's in," said the commander. I quickly subdued the guy's pain secretly and he got up quickly. "Ha, that was nothing." "Yeah, sure, like you weren't squealing like a baby a minute ago." "I was just acting." "Sure. Anyways, I haven't quite gotten your names yet." The commander said, "I'm Claude, your so-called cotton candy stall guy is Ain, the one you hit was Charles, and the last guy's Ezra." "Alright, so, Cap, what's the plan?" "Since we already have a female as a member, she will act as a distraction. Although once she's finished she'll follow us and save the hostages. We have already found where the women were from a detective I hired at the agency. It's a few blocks from here and I scouted some kidnappers. There's one outside this shop as of now, so once he lets his guard down we will be able to move on with our act. I brought some commoners' clothing and I'll hand it over to Charlotte. From that point forward we will sneakily follow the kidnapper that takes Charlotte hostage to their secret base. If we lose track of him somehow, I'll take the lead and you will follow me as I know the location. Charlotte, once you're in the cell with the other women, I assume that they will have their mouths taped and ropes around their arms and legs. I've also gathered information that they will be hosting a slave auction at some place downtown. Charlotte said in a serious tone, "Don't worry, I'm good at setting myself free. Once I'm there you guys probably don't have to do anything else." Charles snickers. "Yeah sure, what can you do? If you don't shut up he'll hit you again, you fool." Alas, Charles shuts up. "Alright, I'll inform the other three when they're with me since we don't know what they're gonna do yet," said the commander. Everyone turns around as Charlotte gets into the commoner's clothing. She didn't want to waste any time so she just used her powers to change it quickly. Once they got out of the base, Charlotte hurriedly went outside acting like an innocent girl has just went outside from the bar. "Kidnappers puff. What do we have here? She's kinda hot. Boss will surely like her." The kidnapper quickly pulls Charlotte to an alleyway and covers cloth around her mouth thinking she was unconscious, which she was only pretending to, but he didn't realize. Chapter 6. The kidnapper carries Charlotte in a sack while stealthily moves around the shadows to get to the secret base. The other 4 men tailed behind the kidnapper following his every step. "This sack smells horrid. What did he put in here? Gross." Once the kidnapper arrives he tears the sack revealing Charlotte faking her unconsciousness. She hurries up and knocks at the kidnapper and grabs his keys out of his pocket. "There's too many keys to use. It was a waste of time. Fuck it." Charlotte uses her divine powers to cover the trapped women with a protective layer and continues to explode the cages and base. The women were safe from the explosion. She keeps a layer on them as there were people coming to the base to check what that huge sound was about. Charlotte, not wanting them to find out that she had powers, fought them with an ease and beat them till the brink of death, causing them to fall unconscious. Although she missed one person, the guy was a highly skilled assassin, and wore a mask to hide his identity. He was so skilled and fast he suddenly went behind Charlotte and put a knife to her neck. The 4 men finally arrived just to see a knife to Charlotte's neck. "Took y'all fucking long enough. Save the women. I'll deal with this lowlife. Take a step further and I'll kill her." They froze. "Don't care about me. Save the women like you were supposed to." "We can't just leave you to die," said Ain. "I won't fucking die, just save the women, you morons." "He has a knife to your neck." "Trust me, you idiots." "We'll mourn for your death, Charlotte. Rest in peace," said Charles. "You're annoying." The assassin looked so confused but continued to hold a knife to her neck. None of them moved for a few minutes till they finally scouted to rescue 2 women. The assassin sliced Charlotte's neck, causing her to fall. "No," yelled Dane. The assassin jumped towards the commander ready to kill him, although he fell to the ground. "What happened?" said the assassin in a sullen, confused tone. "Not so fast," said Charlotte. "She was alive. No one could believe it. Her cut was gone from her neck." Everyone was so confused. "How did you not die?" "That's none of your concern." Charlotte grabs the hidden knife that she prepared from her sock and stabs the assassin. Brutal. After they freed the women, they all surrounded Charlotte and called her their savior. They all kneeled before her and thanked her. You guys don't have to thank me. I'm just glad you all are alive. Please stay safe next time and keep cautious of suspicious people." After some time they got the women back to their homes and arrested the men. Once they were finished they headed back to their underground discussion base. "How?" said Ezra. Are you a mage?" asked the commander. "Alright, I forgot mages exist in this era." "Yeah, I'm a mage. I just healed myself." Yup. "You're incredible," said the commander. It was nothing," said Charlotte in a nervous tone. "Well, I have to go back now. I might get murdered by my parents if they find out about my disappearance." "Alright, see you next time." Charlotte went out from the base, and snuck back into her estate. Since no one really came into her room she didn't get noticed. She was really hungry but saw a piece of bread on her table. "You've got to be fucking kidding me." Charlotte stormed out her room and went straight to the dining room and saw her whole family there excluding her again. "You guys really don't understand, huh?" Everybody froze. Charlotte takes a butter knife and throws it directly at the Duke, landing just in front of him and stuck in the table without harming him. The Duke backed up and fell to the ground. ground. Charlotte walks to the Duke's seating area and takes his food. The next time it will be hit directly at your face. Bring me decent food instead of stale bread next time. Charlotte brings the plate of food to her room to enjoy. Now this is what I call an exquisite meal. After having a filling meal she falls asleep accidentally. Oh, what time is it? Charlotte looked outside and saw the bright moon. Since she was filled with energy she decided to take a night stroll in the garden. She saw him again. Snow-white hair with cold blue eyes. She ran towards him and held him. Hey, who are you? He turned to her and kissed her forehead and disappeared. Eh? What? He disappeared just like that again. I just wanted to know who he was, but he kissed my forehead. Who does that? Charlotte's face turned red and she covers her face with her hands. She quickly sprints back inside and jumps on her bed. Complete bullshit. She awoke from her sleep but couldn't stop thinking about what happened last night. Her ears were still red as she got into the bathtub. After her long bath she finally calmed down and got into a white dress with floral patterns and cute white socks. She walked along the halls and Amelia appeared from behind and told her, Sister, come to the dining room. Eh? Since when was she nice to me? Alright. She grips Charlotte's arm and brings her to the dining hall. There was the whole family and an empty seat that wasn't there before. Perhaps it was prepared for her. Sit down there, that's your seat. Alright. The seat was next to her brother and mother. They created an awkward tension between them till father broke the silence. So, how was your day, Charlotte? I don't know. I didn't do anything today as I've just woke up. Ah, expected. The silence continued. Well, this is awkward. Charlotte and her family just ate for the rest of the time that they were in the dining room. Chapter 7. After breakfast, Charlotte heads to the Duke's office. Father. The Duke hurries up from his seat and calls the maid to prepare some tea. Hello, Charlotte. Anything on your mind? Ah, yes. I want permission to leave whenever I want to, Charlotte said while sipping on tea. The Duke hesitated for a second, but agreed. When the Duke got up from his seat Charlotte also added, I also want to learn the art of the sword. The Duke turned his head around in shock. What? Absolutely not. What kind of lady wants to learn sword? Me. Do you have a problem? I do. You ladies should be proper and not be handling such heavy metal objects around, Charlotte snapped. Excuse me? What gives you the right to say that? What if I get endangered? What if I don't know how to protect myself? You saw how good my throwing skills were. Do you? The Duke cut her off. No. Jerk. Charlotte let out but it was inaudible. Charlotte storms out of the office. Bastard. Charlotte grabs a hooded coat and wooden sword and proceeds to go to the training grounds despite her father's words. She practices swinging for hours. Her determination was incredible. She felt like she could spar for hours on end, like she could defeat anyone she wanted. Pav. Ho ho ho, what do we have here? The person stares at Charlotte from afar without getting noticed. They run back to somewhere. Third person Pav. It finally turns dark. Charlotte was starving as she trained too much. She goes to the night market to buy some food. The smell of freshly cooked meat was so spellbinding. She hurries to a stall and buys pork on a stick and ate it while stars started to form from her eyes. Aine was passing by and saw Charlotte eating dozens of meat skewers. Hey! Charlotte stares at him while her mouth was filled with food while chewing. They just made eye contact. Not another word was spoken. Awkward tension started forming around them. Aine then said, well, it's a surprise seeing you here again. Charlotte finally finished chewing and swallowing her food. Yeah? Ha ha, sorry I was chewing. Don't need to state the obvious. Wanna get a drink? I'm up. Your treat, right? What kind of man are you? Not my fault you asked me out to drink. Aine rolls his eyes. I'm kidding. I'm paying. Let's go. They head over to the bar for some drinks but saw a man with a dagger going up to young woman. He was about to kill her for whatever random reason. Charlotte, thinking fast, takes out her wooden sword and jumps in front of the man blocking his path to the woman. Little girl, run along now or you're gonna get hurt. Do not interfere with my business. What did she do to you? She deceived my feelings. That doesn't give you the right to kill her, you psycho. Suddenly, the man charged towards Charlotte, causing her to block the attack. The wooden sword, however, wasn't comprehending the dagger very well as the material was stronger than the sword itself. Fuck, I can't hold him back. This wooden sword is absolute dog shit. Run, woman. Hurry up. The woman runs out the bar as quick as lightning. How dare you let her get away? I'll kill you. Charlotte didn't back out and infused divine energy into her wooden sword, causing it to be 10x stronger than it was before. Perks of being the greatest goddess you know. The dagger flew up into the air and landed on the floorboard, sticking up straight. How? The man said when he backed up from Charlotte. I don't have to answer that. Scoot along. Charlotte couldn't kill him there as people were watching. Many people surrounded the two while watching them fight, including Ain. Hey man, I'm not in the mood to commit bloodshed right now, so can you get out? The man ran out the exit as fast as he could. He practically dashed out the door in just under a second. Charlotte sighed and realized people were still staring at her. Ha. Hi? She smiled awkwardly. People finally went back to their seats and enjoyed themselves, but kept talking about the fight that happened a second ago. I really need a drink to clear up my mind right now, Charlotte said, sulking. You were really cool back there. I'm always cool. Charlotte turns her gaze to the bartender. Hey bartender, 2 drinks please. The bartender prepared 2 large glasses of beer. That's what I'm talking about. Charlotte was chugging the whole glass while people started to chant, go, go, go. I'm done. The crowd cheered and Charlotte was proud. Ain was just there chuckling and getting along with the other people that were there. After paying, Charlotte had her hand wrapped around Ain since she was half sober. I might vomit. Gross. Wait till you arrive home. I had a lot of fun today. I almost killed someone. Hee. You act like that's a good thing. But it was a bad guy, wasn't he? Yeah, whatever. Ain got Charlotte some water to help her sober up a little. Charlotte still seemed hungover, although she had enough energy to walk back home. Thanks man. See you next time. Thanks for the water. It was nothing. Good night. Charlotte was too lazy to enter from the entrance and just went in through the secret hole and got into her room. What an eventful night. I'm exhausted. Charlotte wandered off into dreamland. Chapter 8. Yawn. Charlotte goes into the bathroom to get ready for who knows what might happen. Charlotte wears a plain dress and walks downstairs. What's the prince and king doing here? And most importantly, why wasn't I alert of this? This family. Really? Charlotte turns to His Majesty's. Blessings upon your Majesty of Dianely and your Majesty the Prince of Dianely. Hello Charlotte. Does this old man not know formalities or what? What brings you both here? Charlotte said with a soft smile. We're discussing about our children's wedding. I see. Are you setting up the prince and Amelia? No. We're setting up you and the prince. What? I didn't agree to this. Charlotte turns towards Amelia with tears in her eyes. Damn it, she's crying. Your Majesty, I do apologize as I think I'm not fit for the prince. Amelia over there is fun and joyful, plus she's pretty. Please consider her instead of me. Well, my son even wants to take you in, so I'm not really sure. Charlotte turns her gaze towards the prince and gives him a glare. The prince took a step back while his eyes widen. Please do consider your Majesty. I feel bad for my little sister. She lies. All right, it's settled then. Amelia and the prince shall have an arranged marriage. Charlotte turns towards Amelia while smiling. Amelia gives her a thumbs up. Why must this always happen to me? Charlotte leaves the main room and back into her room to prepare for an outing again, whilst grabbing some money to buy an actual sword. After Charlotte got out of her estate, she ran to the blacksmith. Whoa! There were many varieties of swords, big, small, etc. There was also armor, bows and other weapons. Charlotte goes to pick out a sword. This one is just right for me. It's exactly how I like it. Charlotte pays for the sword and goes back to the training grounds. Although, she wasn't the only one there. Is she waiting for someone? Hey matey, is she talking to me? You. The woman points to Charlotte. Hey, I saw you practicing the sword yesterday and I got to say you're pretty slick with it. Do you want to train with me? I'm a top tier swordsman. Alright. An opportunity to increase my skills. My name's Charlotte. And yours? Just call me Mabel. Okay. They practice new moves, lunge, flunge, parry, counterattack, riposte and so on. Cool. She's such a master at this. Holy shit, you're really good at it. I thought you were only a beginner swordsman, but you're already close to mastering these movements. It's nothing. Ha ha, I just really have a passion for swords. Matey, you should really participate in the sword competition this coming Wednesday. Sword competition? Yeah, I'll take you to the sign-up booth. Alright. Mabel grabs Charlotte's hand and runs towards the Capitol. At the sign-up booth, the event is gonna be held in the arena. Many people from around these lands will come here just to participate since it only happens every 4 years. We're just lucky. Ooh, I see. Well, I'll totally sign up. They both give their signatures to the man at the booth. 8. We should go get some food and train some more. How's that sound, mate? Seems good to me. Let's go to the bar. They walk to the bar. Hey bartender, hello again. 2 cups please. Alright. The prince enters the bar. Charlotte attempts to cover her face with the newspaper provided at the bar. The prince notices. Hey Charlotte, the prince said while closing up the Charlotte. Charlotte's eyes widened. Suddenly, someone else enters the bar. His eyes scouting the area, he sees Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. Who's that? Charlotte pushes the prince's face away from hers. One of my friends, I guess. Who's that man? The prince asked. He's also my friend. The prince gets up and goes up to Ain. They both stare at each other dead in the eye while Charlotte and Mabel watch from afar. Do you know what they're doing? Asked Mabel. Not sure to be honest. The prince started to speak. What are you to Charlotte? Why is that any of your business? You breath. I'm the Prince of Dianely, Elijah. Ain scoffs and says. Blessings upon your majesty the Prince of Dianely. I command you to tell me your relationship with Charlotte. I'm her friend, didn't she just say that? Are they children? Why are they acting like that? Charlotte stands up, chugging the large glass of beer, and slams it on the table and leaving some money for the bartender. Elijah and Ain turns their gaze towards Charlotte. Mabel already finished her glass a while ago. Charlotte grabs Mabel and storms out. Wait Charlotte! Both Elijah and Ain exclaimed. Then went back to glare at each other, blaming one another. Charlotte drags Mabel to the training grounds with a fed-up expression on her face. Whoa there matey, why are you so under the weather? Those two back there irritated me. Let's rest here for a bit and get back to training. They talked for a bit and Mabel mentioned how she had a twin brother that was the complete opposite of her. My brother is a few minutes younger than me since we're twins. He's so small like a baby. That seems too exaggerated. They both laugh and continue talking. After an hour of talking they finally started training again. 8 matey, imagine that piece of wood as someone you terribly despise. The prince is irritating. Once Charlotte hit the wood it chopped in half and split in a second. Whoa there, you're truly skilled aren't you mate? You sure you're just a beginner? You think too highly of me, Mabel. I'm just a starter learning from her master. Ha ha. They both chuckled. After it was evening, Charlotte went back home. She got greeted by her father. Where have you been young lady? You didn't even send his majesty off, he said, furious. Charlotte quickly hides her sword that she bought earlier. He's being more ruthless by the day. Wasn't he always a pussy and averted his eyes when he met me? I was busy. Can I go up now? No. You better give me an explanation. Charlotte lost her patience and glared at her father. Cold eyes. They felt like nothing but death. Charlotte's dad backed up a few steps and let her cross through. I thought I didn't have to glare at people anymore. Charlotte washes herself getting her dirty sweat off her body and gets into a nightgown. She goes to the dining hall and enjoys herself. They finally started a conversation. Hey sis, what did you do today? Stuff. What stuff? Just stuff. She asks too much, just let me eat in peace. Okay, well today I just unpackaged my new clothes. Cool. The conversation stopped. Well that was boring. I'll take my leave, Charlotte says when she finishes her meal. Charlotte was ready for bed after a long day of events. She goes to her room. There in her room, the man with snow white hair and cold blue eyes. They made eye contact this time. He looked familiar but Charlotte couldn't quite pinpoint who. He goes up to Charlotte and takes her hand to give it a kiss on the hand. I'm sorry. He finally spoke. I'm speechless. I can't speak. I'm Lorenzo. Charlotte lifts up her head trying to focus on him but her vision gets blurrier. Lorenzo carries Charlotte to her bed, then vanishes. Chapter 9. Hello Lorenzo. Charlotte wakes up with a confused look on her face. Who was that last night? Why did he apologize to me? Everything's so confusing. Alright, Tomorrow's the swordsman competition. I'm gonna meet Mabel on the training grounds. Charlotte brings her items to the training grounds. Hey Mabel. Hey Char. Charlotte hears a whimper behind Mabel. Who's that behind you? Ah. Come on out Damon. Hi. A cute guy who's a few inches shorter than Mabel comes from behind her. Hello there. I'm Charlotte. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Let's get practicing. I need to improve my skills for the comp tomorrow. 8 mate. They train for hours and hours, learning new techniques while Damon just watches from a side. They had some snacks afterwards. The day just went like this. I'm so excited for today's comp. Charlotte goes downstairs with her sword hidden into the kitchen. Hi. Could I have an energy bar and some bread? Yeah sure. The maid working there handed Charlotte the food. Thanks. Charlotte sprints out the kitchen and out the door. She sees Mabel and her brother waiting at the Capitol. Hey matey. Did you bring your family to watch? Ah. No. My family doesn't approve of me wielding swords. That's sad mate. I'll ask Damon to cheer you on. That's so sweet of you. Charlotte and Mabel enter the contestants area while Damon goes to the seating area for the audience. Whoa. So many people. Mabel wasn't kidding when she said there were people coming from the other lands. While Charlotte was walking, a guy hits her on her shoulder. What was that for? He scoffs. So what? Why are you here? SMH. Girls like you shouldn't be here. You're gonna get beat up to a plump. He laughs as he walks away. I'll show that asshole. If I were you I'd get him. Don't worry. I'll win this and show him. Gluck mate. We're rivals here. Got that. See ya on the arena grounds. Charlotte and Mabel waves to each other and goes to train before the actual event. Announcer. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our 40th swordsman competition. Thank you all for coming. Let the games begin. The audience starts to cheer. First round. Charlotte versus Mabel. Damn, out of everyone I'm dueling with Mabel. Charlotte swerves under Mabel, catching her off guard. While Mabel tries to turn around, her sword flings upwards. Not a second later Charlotte's sword was now pointing to Mabel's neck. 8 matey, you win, Mabel said while both her arms in the air. Thanks. Announcer. That was quite the fast round, don't y'all think? On to the next round. Charlotte enters the finals. She sees the guy from earlier. I'm facing this douche. Glad seeing you here again, little girl. Okay, yeah sure, whatever. Are we gonna start this thing? Announcer. Charlotte versus Houston. Let the finals begin. Houston charges towards Charlotte with immense speed. Charlotte swerves sideways, dodging Houston's attack. Charlotte swings her sword towards Houston but he blocks it. Houston's sword starts glowing red. Whispers start in the audience. A mana user. Is that considered cheating? Mana sword? How intriguing. Announcer. Houston infuses mana into the sword. Now this is what we call the finals. Charlotte loses her sword from the sudden attack of a mana sword. Give up yet? Absolutely not. Charlotte jumps from Houston's grasp and runs to her sword, grabbing it while running. The cheers started growing bigger. Everyone was so excited. Two can play at that game. Charlotte infuses divine energy into the sword, possibly being 20x the strength of the mana sword. Her sword glows gold. Announcer. Swords glowing gold? Something never seen before in the last 1,000 years. How does Miss Charlotte contain that power? Charlotte charges towards Houston. Houston ready to attack Buck, but Charlotte ran to the left direction, confusing Houston. Charlotte appears behind Houston while knocking him to the ground, while his sword went flying. Charlotte once again points her sword to Houston's neck. I really underestimated you, Charlotte, he said while raising his hands. I lose, he said after. Announcer. The winner of the 40th swordsman competition is Charlotte Alpheus. Charlotte drops her sword and offers a hand to Houston. He grabs her hand, pulling her to the ground. Their faces close up. This man is really ruthless. Charlotte backs up. What was that for? You're kinda cute, but strong as well. SMH, weren't you insulting me earlier? Yeah, but that was earlier. Sorry about what I said, he said while chuckling. They both get up and go to the spot where they received their prizes. Third place received 200 pieces of gold. Second received 500. First place received a mana stone and a huge amount of 1,000 gold. After Charlotte got off the podium, she saw 4 faint figures walking towards her. It's her family. Shit. I didn't expect them to be here. Charlotte, we're so proud of you, her sister exclaimed. The rest of the family stared in awkwardness. I'm sorry I doubted you, Charlotte, said her father. Mother and brother just stared silently. Ah. Thank you. You guys should head back first, I'm gonna have a drink with my friends, Charlotte said while pulling Mabel and Damon beside her. Okay. Charlotte drags Mabel and Damon to the bar to celebrate her victory. Ah, hi Charlotte, said the bartender. I heard you won the competition. You're truly amazing. Ha ha. I sure did, she said with a bright smile. It's my treat guys. As a token of appreciation for accompanying me while I was practicing the past few days. They drank till their heart's content. Charlotte, possibly only half sober, goes back home after saying her goodbyes to Mabel and Damon. The prince was at their estate. Congratulations Charlotte. I heard you won the swordsman competition, he said while handing her flowers. Are you serious? Giving flowers to another woman while your fiancé is right there watching. Ah, thank you your majesty. I must get going now. Did he really come all the way here to give me flowers? What a fucking simp. After the prince leaves, Charlotte hands the flowers over to Amelia. Take it, I don't like those anyway. Thank you. Charlotte goes up to her room to see a letter and box on her table. To Estella Deville. I just wanted to congratulate you Estella. You were awesome back there. I was watching among the crowds and I feel like this gift would look good on you. I precisely picked it out for you. I apologize for not being able to meet you in person as I have meetings to attend. From Lorenzo. So he knows who I actually am. Charlotte turns to the box and opens it. Inside was a necklace infused with divine energy, the shape of the crescent moon. It was really pretty. Whoever this person was surely does know Estella best. Yet she still couldn't figure out who he was. Charlotte puts on the necklace and stored the letter into her magic pouch that she created from a speck of dust. She held on to the necklace as she slowly closed her eyelids and dozed off. Chapter 10. After Charlotte finishes her meal, she heads to the garden and crawls out the hole out of habit. What a bright day. Charlotte was wearing her pants and shirt she bought from the tailor's, while having her sword attached to her belt. She then walks to Capitol, but then she saw people running while screaming. Huh? What's going on? There's a monster. Run as fast as you can. Damn. Really? A monster? Charlotte runs as fast as she could to see the so-called monster. It was really a genuinely disgusting monster. Didn't we seal the monster's crack already? How did that thing come through? It was really a beautiful day as well. Do I really have to? Well, leaves me no choice. Charlotte sprints towards the monster and hits its eye to see how fast it would regenerate. The time span it took to regenerate was around 20 seconds. A high-tier monster. No wonder it got through the crack. Usually it would take 5 minutes for a common tier to regenerate, and it wouldn't regenerate if it was a weak one. Monsters are basically the opposite of gods. Good versus evil, although some gods are also quite gruesome. Charlotte, aka Estella, was a great monster killer back in the days. That is also one of the reasons on why she was so highly respected by the gods. I haven't done this in a while. The good old days. Charlotte infuses her divine power into her sword. It glowed gold, so did her eyes. Almost like golden flames were forming right on the spot. Seeing how the monster was going towards a little girl who looked around the age of 5, Charlotte burns in anger and charged towards the monster. She kept hitting its weak spots and used her powers to slide the little girl aside without getting hurt. Charlotte kept yelling for the little girl to run, but she just stood there with her eyes widened, scared to death. Charlotte sliced the monster left and right. She also kept running around it, causing it to keep spinning its head. When it was dizzy, Charlotte hit its ultimate weak spot. Since monsters were different from humans and gods, they wear their hearts on their forehead. Charlotte ran and jumped from stalls to building, the ground getting higher. She finally stabbed the monster's head. Black blood exploded from it. Charlotte got onto the monster's back while it was in horrible pain. She kept stabbing uncontrollably. She was having a bit too much fun. Atlas, the monster, falls to the ground while Charlotte jumps from its back and back onto the ground right before it hit the ground and let out a loud thud sound. Cheers surrounded Charlotte till she finally realized people were watching her. She puts her sword back and runs to the girl, seeing if she was still in a trance. They both stared at each other, and the girl finally spoke with a cute voice. Thank you, sister. She ran off as she got snapped out of her own trance. Charlotte waves from behind. People were still chanting, Savior. She didn't think of it as anything and brushed it off. Charlotte goes to a bakery to buy some macaroons for Mabel and Damon. Although she was still covered in black blood, the woman working there was in shock, wondering what happened, staring right directly at Charlotte, making it awkward. Ah, I'm sorry. I just killed a monster back there and I still had blood stains on me. Could I please get a box of macaroons though please? Sure thing. The woman hands over the box of macaroons and hands it over to Charlotte. Charlotte goes to Mabel's house as she had told Charlotte her address. As she arrived, still covered in blood, a man around 6 feet tall walked to the door in horror. "Oh, sorry about that. I'll explain it later." "Can I come in? I'm here to talk to Mabel and Damon. I decided to come over today because I thought we would have fun together." "I'm assuming you're their dad?" "Ah, yes. So you were the visitor Mabel told me about. You sure are really different from what I imagined you'd be." "Yeah, I get that a lot. Ha ha. Anyways, come on in." "Mabel, Damon, your friend's here." "Charlotte," Mabel shouted. "What's that black goo on you?" Damon asked. "I'll explain later." "Do you have any spare clothes?" Mabel grabs Charlotte's arm while dragging her to get some clothes and take a shower. "You really killed a monster?" Mabel said in disbelief. "Yup. You're truly something, mate." Damon just stared in shock. They all happily talked and ate macaroons. Charlotte was back at home. "Monsters. How did they break through the seal?" Charlotte waits till everyone's asleep and goes to the garden. She flies high up and meets the seal. It was slowly breaking. It had been sealed for almost 200,000 years now. Charlotte gathers most of her divine energy into one and puts all her effort into repairing the seal, hoping it wouldn't tear again. Charlotte was still worried although she saw the seal shut tight. She drops back down and strengthens the barrier protecting the humans. She didn't want to go back inside yet and walks over to the pond which glistened when the shining moon shone down onto the water. She got into an exquisite boat she prepared herself. It was calm and quiet, just like how she liked it. She picked up her necklace. The moon was shining down on the necklace. It glowed a deep blue color. "Huh, Estella? This is a message I left in the necklace. Considering that you still don't remember me, I hope you yell out my name when you're in trouble. I will be right there." A robotic voice said. Clearly wasn't Lorenzo who voice recorded that but coded in. "I wonder what he's doing right now. Why am I thinking about him?" Charlotte's cheeks glow red. She hops off the boat and runs back inside, gripping the necklace tightly. Chapter 11. A carriage arrived in the afternoon at the Duke's estate. It was a letter for Charlotte. Surprisingly, it was a tea party from Lady White, Lilith White. The girl who bullied Charlotte when she was 10, the one who would throw random objects at her, injuring her. Yet her family didn't do anything about it and just watched. It was really a bad memory. Estella felt really bad for Charlotte too. Even though after all these years of verbal and psychical abuse, she decides to invite Charlotte to a tea party. Charlotte declines the offer and has her own private tea party, which consists of only herself. Calling a maid, the maid prepares rose tea with a splendid fragrance. Putting 2 sugar cubes into her tea, Charlotte sips the tea while getting lost in thoughts. The invitation rose aflame inside of her, thinking of what Lilith would have done if she did attend. Of course, she would have felt a huge amount of regret. Charlotte, trying to avoid the thought of Lilith, stared down at her necklace. Picking up the necklace while she was still wearing it. The jeweled stone attached to the necklace, dangling in her hand, moving from left to right. It was really pretty, a crescent metal piece with a small deep blue crystal on it. Thinking about him, wondering if she should return the favor and give him a gift too. Charlotte, determined as ever, stands up while her hands slam against the table, grabs her coin pouch and goes off into the capital. Going into jewelry shops, hoping to find a one-of-a-kind crystal. After a long day, she finally finished going through every single jewelry store in the capital. She did pick out and bought some shining stones for herself and Lorenzo. She goes back to the estate and she saw someone, Lilith White. What is she doing here? Lilith spots Charlotte and shoots her a dagger glare, walking up to her, raising her hand while aiming to slap her. Charlotte grabs her hand, stopping in midair. Charlotte glares at Lilith while letting her hand go. Dark cord appeared around Charlotte, like some kind of beast. Lilith fell down and backed away, pushing her legs away from Charlotte. Charlotte walked beside her facing the opposite direction Lilith was looking at and stopped. "Know your place, stupid Marquis's kid. I'm not the same 10-year-old you used to pick on," she said with a cold tone, cold as ice. Lilith's face turned completely pale, in fright, while Charlotte walked away with a smirk on her face. In the main living room, "Have you met with Lilith yet?" asked her brother. "Yup." "Did she do anything to you?" "Nope." "You sure?" "Yep," she said with a smile on her face. Lilith came to the living room, pale as ever. She took a seat and Amelia asked her, "Why is your face so pale?" Charlotte turns her gaze to Lilith, eyeing her. Lilith stutters in horror, "Ain't nothing happened, I just need some fresh air, you know." "Ha ha." "Ah, I see. I'll take you out to have some fresh air." "Okay." "What did you?" asked her brother. "While the other two were outside, she tried to slap me, so I glared at her." "I didn't really do anything if you ask me." "You're insane." "Are you fucking kidding me?" "So I'm insane for glaring at her, but she's not?" "Even though she tried to slap me just because I declined her tea party?" "You're fucking lucky this is the living room or else I would have snapped your neck right here." Charlotte walked off. Now she was at the storage room. She grabbed a hammer, a clip and some small chains and went back to her room. She used the hammer and sapphire she purchased earlier while hooking the chains onto the clip, making it the perfect chain necklace for a guy like Lorenzo. Charlotte then infused divine energy into the sapphire, then added a message. Just like how Lorenzo did to Charlotte's necklace. "I hope you like the necklace, Lores. I don't know what to put in this robotic talking system. Thanks for the necklace you gave me though, I really like it." After she added the note into the sapphire, she placed it in a box with a soft sponge in it, carrying it around with her till she met Lorenzo again. There was a festival at night, so Charlotte decided to go just to experience something new. She took her evening bath and got into a red dress with white long socks and headed out, carrying her pouch with money and the necklace box inside of it. At the capital that the festival is held at, Charlotte ran towards the food stalls and bought a big amount of different varieties of food. She looked like a cute squirrel stuffing acorns in its mouth. After she finished eating the big portion of food, she was very full. Charlotte spotted Ain eating a meat skewer and went over to him, greeting him in a casual way. "Hi Ain." "Hey Charlotte. Are you alone?" "Yeah, I just wanted to attend the festival cause of the food and fireworks." "Really? You wanna accompany me on this expedition?" "I don't see why not." Charlotte hooks on Ain's arm and brought him to different areas of the festival. "Haunted house!" Charlotte exclaimed. "You wanna go in?" "Yeah, let's go." Charlotte holds Ain's arm running from a disguised ghost in the haunted house. She laughs while Ain screams like a baby. "You absolute pussy." "Shut up." After the haunted house, I need to go to the restroom for a moment. I'll be right back." "Mkay." Charlotte goes to the place the fireworks were gonna take place. In a distance, a man comes up to Charlotte. "It was Lorenzo, about time you came to see me again." "I'll always be with you, you just won't notice," he says. Charlotte takes the necklace box and gives it to him. He opens it. It was a gorgeous sapphire stone necklace, made for men. He slightly blushed and disappeared. "Not even a thank you? How rude." SMH. Ain goes searches for Charlotte and sees her at the firework area. She was standing directly facing at the moon. It looked like she was glowing. An angel sent down from the heavens. Ain went up to her and faced her. "Today was fun." "Indeed." "Close your eyes for a second." "Alright." Suddenly, Charlotte felt lips pressed onto hers. She opens her eyes and sees Ain's face close up to hers. Fireworks started shooting up into the sky. The moment felt like a movie. Ain backed up and ran off, saying some words before he disappeared into the crowds. "Thanks for th." The voice cut off and she couldn't hear what he said because of the large lively crowds. Her face was as red as a tomato. She let out a small croak while putting her hands on her cheeks. What was that? Chapter 12. Days went by after the festival. Yet Charlotte couldn't get the thought of the kiss that night out of her head. "I really need to stop thinking about it." Charlotte calls for a maid. "Prepare me a hot bath." "Alright." Charlotte gets into a bathrobe and enters the hot bath. It's nice and warm. Charlotte exits the bath and dresses up into a soft blue modest dress. A maid enters Charlotte's room. "Miss, the Duke has requested for your presence in the main room." "Okay. Be right there." The maid leaves the room. Charlotte takes a deep breath and goes to the main room. "Hello father, what is it that you have asked for me?" Charlotte takes a glance of the room and sees her brother and sister sitting on the couch. "Take a seat and I'll explain." Charlotte takes a seat next to Amelia. "As you can see, I've gathered you all here because I want you guys to attend the infamous Zizuo Academy." We all gasp at the same time. Since when were we allowed to enter such high-class academy? I wrote you all recommendation letters. You all have to pack your bags, You're leaving next week on Monday pronto. I see, Charlotte said. Who's gonna help me pack? Asked Amelia. Just do it yourself or go ask your maids, said Asher. Okay then, I'll go start packing, Charlotte said. Isn't that a little too early? You still have 3 more days till Monday. I don't like to do things last minute, so I'm gonna go. Charlotte excuses herself and goes straight to her room. Charlotte takes out a large bag and stuff random clothes inside of it. Banquet dresses, pants and suits, modern dresses and commoner clothes. Days passed and it's now the day before they were supposed to get to the academy. A maid goes into Charlotte's room. The Duke has requested your presence in the main room. Huh? All right, I'll be there. Charlotte gets up from her seat and closes the book she was reading. She goes to the main room. Hello, father. She takes a seat and sees her 2 siblings beside her. Sigh. My apologies. I've called you 3 here because, huh? The 3 said it at the same time. As you know, tomorrow is the day you all will be arriving at the academy. Well, I forgot to tell you all, but there's an entrance exam. It's basically about sword fighting, the history of Dianli and Mana. If you can't pass the exam, you won't be able to enter. Both Asher and Amelia were speechless, but Charlotte spoke up. So, you're telling us this now before the day of the exam? Indeed. You're mental. How will you think Asher and Amelia are gonna pass? Are you not worried for yourself? Have you not seen me? You saw me use a mana sword. You also made me study all day when I was just a young child while you all got to go out. All of them had their mouths shut while Charlotte walked off like it wasn't a big deal. Go study, fools, Charlotte said to Amelia and Asher as she walked off. Charlotte felt at ease as she is a great swordsman who uses mana and divine energy, and since she had both Estella's memories and Charlotte's, her knowledge on history was far more than enough for an entrance exam. Charlotte went on with her day like it was a normal Sunday. While Asher was studying like a monster, Amelia was complaining to her maids for the rest of the day. There's no hope for Amelia. I'll see you on the day of the passing results. The 3 had arrived. Charlotte unfazed, Asher looking determined and Amelia freaking out. So this is the Zizuo Academy. The building was wide and tall. It was comparable or even bigger to the Duke estate. They all enter and register their names. Since all of their ages are different, they'll have to be in separate apartments, but all will be facing the same subjects but different levels. Zizuo Academy only allows people from 14 to 20. They will have to go through 4 years of training and learning to graduate. Charlotte heads to the main hall where all of the examinees are gathered up. Orator, you have all gathered here to have a growth of knowledge and explore new concepts. This elite school only teaches the best of the best. Our motto will always stand: steel walls around each, meaning that we all have a wall only ourselves can break. A thick layer of our knowledge build up to a wall. I will see you all when the results come out after your examinations. I hope you all are well prepared for this exam. I wish you all luck. The crowd applauds. They all go back to their dormitories. Charlotte arrives at her dorm, hoping that she will have a calm and collected roommate. Hell, Charlotte's jaw drops as she sees the guy she defeated at the last swordsman competition laying on the couch reading a history book. Houston Laurel. Houston was about to greet his new roommate but sees Charlotte instead. They both say at the same time. They both were on the couch. So, you're my roommate. What does it look like? I thought I'd share a dorm with a female or something. Well, you thought wrong. Out of everyone, I had to be stuck with you. That hurt. Yeah, okay. I'll go unpack. Keep studying. Wanna study with me after you unpack? I'd prefer not. I like doing things alone. Loner. You're one to talk. Charlotte unpacks everything and lays on her bed, recalling all the things that has happened in the past. Basically revising history. Her memory was clear. She had a photographic memory. Dusk arrives. They both get ready to go to bed. Charlotte was as hyped as ever as tomorrow was the swordsman examination. The exam takes place in 3 days. 1. Swordsman. 2. History. 3. Mana. Charlotte fell asleep soundly. Chapter 13. It's currently 7 a.m. Approximately 2 hours before the students are supposed to arrive at the academy's main hall. Charlotte wakes up bright and early and gets ready, She wears white horse riding leggings and a button-up brown shirt. It suits her. She goes to see if Houston is awake to spar with him. Although he wasn't anywhere to be found in the dorm, Charlotte takes a look down from the window and sees Houston training on the training grounds. She grabs her sword she brought along with her on this academy trip and runs down the stairs to the training grounds. She yells, "Houston, spar with me." "Huh? Okay." The two spar for an hour and were fired up. Ha, 10-0. Charlotte mocked. "How's that even possible? How long have you been learning the sword?" "Around 3 months." "Impossible. Tell me, how long have you actually been learning for?" "Ah, you got me." "Around 10 million years." "Stop spouting bullshit. If you don't believe me, so be it. It's almost time for the first exam. Let's head to the academy main hall early," Charlotte says as she puts back her blade in her belt and walks away. "Right behind you." At the academy main hall. Announcer, "Welcome examinees. This is the first day of the examinations. I hope you all know how to swing your swords, cause today's battle won't be easy." The announcer walks towards a mannequin and grabs a stick. He hits the mannequin and a 1 pops up on its forehead. As you can see, you need to hit the mannequin at least 5,000 times without missing a beat. If you do, your count will go down to 0. Please go to training grounds and stand in your position. Any sabotaging will result in straight disqualification and a letter to your parents. I wish you all luck. Advisors will also be observing you in case you do anything. Charlotte stands her position, while others laugh at her. "Haha, you weak looking girl, you should just quit." Announcer, "Everyone will have 30 minutes to get at least 5,000 hits." Begin. Charlotte lifts her stick up and beats the mannequin 1 and 1 popped up on its forehead. 2 seconds later it goes back down to 0. "Ah, so that's how long it takes to get back down to 0. The others just laugh at her pathetically, thinking she's weak. While the others try their hardest, Charlotte thinks nothing of it and sits down, belittling them. What's she doing? Isn't she supposed to hit the mannequin? She's asking to be failed at this point. There was only 5 minutes left on the clock. Charlotte finally decided to stand up. She lifts her stick and hits the mannequin rapidly in an inhumane speed. The others just stared in disbelief. "Advisor, the time is up. Drop your sticks." The advisor stops the time when the clock rings and controlled mana to make the numbers stay on the mannequin. The advisors go check the scores. One of the advisors goes up to Charlotte's mannequin and checks the number. "You unbelievable. 20,000 hits. Didn't you sit down for 25 minutes? 20,000 hits? Impossible." "What did you do to the mannequin?" "You used mana, didn't you?" "Check the mannequin. Do you sense any of my mana?" "No, you don't," Charlotte says calmly. The rest of the students gasp in disbelief and start to whisper. "So, I pass, right?" "Yeah." "Great. Can I go now?" "You have others to check, don't you?" "Indeed." "Enjoy the rest of your day." Charlotte goes to the gate and leans against the walls. Around 10 minutes later Asher and Amelia walk out. "So, how'd it go?" "I passed with exactly 5,000 hits," said Asher. "I failed." Amelia whined as tears rolled down her face. "This is why you should have trained as a child." "I don't get it. How did you get 20,000 hits while all you did as a child was get locked in your room all day?" "I have my secrets," Charlotte scoffs. Asher walks away while Amelia follows behind him, getting his comfort. Houston walks out and Charlotte places her hand on his shoulder without him noticing. "So, 7,000 hits. That calls for a celebration. Let's get back to the dorm." "I want to eat first. Let's head to the cafeteria. It's only 9:51 a.m. right now." "Ah, alright." They both walk to the cafeteria. Students surround them started to talk about her. "Isn't that Charlotte Alpheus, the one who got 20,000 hits on the mannequin in under 5 minutes? Haven't you heard? She won this year's swordsman competition. I saw her kill a monster right in front of my eyes. She even saved a little girl." "Who even is she? Is she that great?" "I honestly think it's just all a hoax." "Is eating in peace also not allowed in this treacherous place?" Charlotte sighs and frowns. "Cheer up. Some are complimenting you." "You know?" "Yeah, but I just wanted to eat without them saying anything about me." Yeah, let's just get some food and get out of here." "You don't have to tell me twice." "What do you want to get?" "The meal's on me since you got more hits." "You're finally being a gentleman, aren't you?" "Hurry up before I change my mind." "Just get me curry chicken." "Alright, I got you." Charlotte waits for Houston when the Crown Prince walks up to her. He picks up Charlotte's hand and gives her a peck on the hand. Hello Charlotte. Greetings Your Majesty. You can drop the formalities you know. We're friends, are we not? How could I dare call Your Majesty by his real name? Charlotte said sarcastically. If you'll excuse me Your Majesty, I need to go eat with a friend. Charlotte curtsies and she walks off to Houston with a tray in his hand. Go find his information and come back to me, the prince says to the knight beside him. Charlotte and Houston goes outside and enjoy their meals on the wooden bench. They both enjoy the rest of the day while others went to study history. Chapter 14. The second day of the examination. All the students have already gathered up in the main hall waiting for the announcement. Announcer. This is your second day of the examination. I was very impressed with a few of you in the first examination. The next won't be going easier in you though. I hope you all studied well on Dianli history. After I'm done with this speech, you all will have to return to the campus classrooms and start your exams. Each classroom will be prepared for 30 students each classroom. Cheating is also forbidden, so we will put a mana spell on you all. You all will be unable to peek because of a spell we'll put on you. This exam shall be treated fairly. Now that I'm done with my speech, I hope you all will do your best. Good luck. The professors take 30 students each to a classroom. Charlotte was assigned to class 3 to 10. They all got to their seats. Papers were set on their tables and spells were automatically activated as they sat down. They were unable to see their classmates' papers. There were 10 pages each that they had to do. As you all know, you aren't able to peek at the other papers. You all have 2 hours to finish your test. Begin. Charlotte first browsed through the papers. Only 2,000 years of Dianli history. This won't be a problem at all. 30 minutes later, Charlotte raises her hand. Yes, Miss Charlotte. I have finished my test. Am I free to go? Show me your papers. Alright. Charlotte hands over her papers. It was amazing. She got every question correct. How? It's pretty simple if you studied. Anyway, am I allowed to go? Yes. You're free to go. As Charlotte walks out the door, the students thought the test was like walking through the gates of hell and was shocked when they saw Charlotte finishing her test in only a little bit over 30 minutes, while the teacher kept double checking her papers. Well, that was easy, Charlotte said as she sighed. As she said that, the headmistress overheard her. Miss, you're finished with your test already? Yeah. Charlotte walks away. Wait, huh? Charlotte asks as she turns around. Could you come to my office? Sure. Charlotte follows the headmistress to her office as they discussed history together. At her office, I've been thinking, Charlotte, would you like to have a different uniform from the rest? I'd really like to have you as an acquaintance. Different uniform? You haven't seen my full result yet. Are you sure? I've seen enough. Your skills on sword fighting and history. I've also heard rumors about you, like how you defeated a monster with a mana sword. So you've heard. Indeed, it's very impressive. If you do make it into the academy, do please inform me. Thanks for the offer. Am I allowed to pick what color I want? The main color of the school is soft blue. Is there any color you'd like? Black. I'll see what I can do. I hope to see your name on the board when the results are announced. After a bit of talking, Charlotte went on with the rest of her day. It's the third day of the examinations. All the students have once gathered. This time it wasn't in the main hall but the battlegrounds. Announcer, this is the last day of the examinations. Today you all will be facing a mana battle. Theirs will be 2 separate teams. The team with the last person standing will be the team that is gonna pass the examinations. This is a warning. You all will have to face injuries afterwards, so back out if you're not ready for that and come back next year once you're well prepared. A few students leave one by one in fear. Of course, majority of them were still there. Charlotte was not backing down. Then, they were separated into 2 teams. She takes a look to see who was on her team and sees her brother and Houston. There was a line in between the 2 teams. Fire started in their eyes, ready for battle. Announcer, let the battle begin. Each student had mana gathered in a ball in their hands and charged towards the other team. Charlotte stood there not doing anything, closed her eyes and concentrated on each person's mana, seeing how strong they are. The person charging for Charlotte was low on mana as they have used up majority of their mana on running, throwing the ball of mana at her. Charlotte dodged with ease. When Charlotte opened her eyes, golden flames started forming in her eyes. She ran and ended up behind the opponent, pushing them down and holding them with mana. They were dragged off the battlefield. Charlotte was then hyped, Golden flames formed around her and she blasted almost half the other team off the field, injuring them. Charlotte brushed her hands as people stared at her. "What y'all looking at? Hurry up and defeat them." Escaping their trances, the battle continued. Charlotte saw someone aiming at Houston, but Houston was too busy with 3 others, not noticing the opponent. They blasted a fire monoball at him. Charlotte took action and blasted the fireball with a water ball as cold as ice but not frozen, overlapping and disappearing. She then blasted them off the battlegrounds. "Thanks for the help, Charlotte." "Shut up and focus." Charlotte blasted off a few people like brushing dust of a window. Houston, being stupid, got hit off the battleground. I shouldn't have wasted my mana and helped him." It happened that Charlotte was the last on her team and the others got swept away. There were at least 50 people left on the other team. Charlotte was it? "You can't win against us. It's 1 to 50. Give up." "Ha, if you're that confident, give me your best right now." "You're nothing compared to me." That angered the students and they formed a large ball of mana all together, aiming at Charlotte. The observers were going to stop them, but Charlotte insisted. They blasted at Charlotte and the ground around her disintegrated. Charlotte was standing in the middle unharmed. "Ah, is that all you've got?" Charlotte mocked. The other team gasped. What are you?" someone shouted. "I don't see how that's any of your concern." Charlotte uses mana and forms a path to the other team's ground. "I'll show you what I can do next." Charlotte lifts her head and looks them straight in the eye. The ground explodes. They all were knocked out, all except Charlotte, of course. "So, do I win?" she asked as she stood there. The announcer stutters. "Why yeah," he says and took a huge gulp. Charlotte walks off the battlegrounds while half of the people stared in disgust and the other cheering for her. Houston ran up to her and wrapped his arm around Charlotte. "How did you do that?" "I just created a mana explosion." "I don't know what you mean." It was an hour after the battle and Houston and Charlotte went to eat. At the cafeteria, a group of men blocked Charlotte's path. "Hey Charlotte, I challenge you to a battle." Charlotte just walks around them, ignoring them. One grabs her hair, pulling her back. "Who do you think you are?" Charlotte turned back and stared at him dead in the eye. He fell back and Charlotte stepped on him with one leg. "Know your place, weakling," she says with a cold tone. Charlotte says and walks away, frightening the other students that were there. "What are you looking at, Houston? Hurry up, I'm starving." She frowns. "I'm coming, chill." They go collect their food and eat while people's gaze surrounded them. Chapter 15. It's the 5th day at the academy. Advisors gave the students a day to rest as they counted who passed. They have called all the students to see the results on the school board. Charlotte went to check the school board. She overheard a student say, "Huh? I thought there were only passed and failed. Why is there an extra?" Charlotte was curious and ran up to the school board. She didn't see her name on the passed section. "Did I fail?" Charlotte checked the failed section. Her name wasn't there either. She realized the 3rd section, Elite. Only her name was in that section. Just me?" The prince walked up to her. "Elite, huh? What the fuck? You almost gave me a heart attack." "That's no way to talk to royalty." "Didn't you say yourself that I didn't have to use formalities?" "Didn't you decline?" "Well, it isn't too late to change my mind, right?" "I guess so." "Well, congrats. Elite must mean something, right?" "I guess." "Well, I see you passed." "Yeah, I was able to go through either way since I'm royalty." "As expected." "I have to go now." "See ya, Elijah." Charlotte walks off. "She called me by my name," Elijah whispers to himself. At her dorm, someone knocks on the door. Houston goes to check who came to stop by. It was a professor. "I'd like to speak to Charlotte Alpheus, please." Charlotte walks behind from Houston. "That would be me. Let's go out and have a chat." "Well, the headmaster has called for you. Please follow me to her office." "Ah, I see." "Alright." Charlotte follows behind the professor and waves to Houston. At the headmaster's office, "You've arrived. So, do you like your rank?" "You're the only one who has it." "Thank you for the rank, although I'm quite embarrassed on how I was the only one who had that." "Haha, it's something you should be proud of. Although, I do understand you. Have you thought about being my acquaintance?" "I don't see why not, although I have a few conditions." "First of all, I don't want to follow you around like a pest. I still have student things to attend to. Second, I want my custom uniform to be made." "We've got a deal." "I shall take my leave now. Thank you." "Headmistress." "Before you go, Your custom black uniform is already at your dorm. I knew you were going to agree, so I thought beforehand. There's a special surprise awaiting you soon during my speech. Thank you. I'll be looking forward to it. It's the day when the guardians arrive to check the results and bring home the failed children. Every student standing there was wearing their uniform. Charlotte stood out with her black uniform. Headmistress, congrats to the ones who have passed the entrance exam. I am proud of each and every one of you, but this doesn't mean that from this point forward it's going to be easier. I wish you all the best luck the rest of the school year. There's also another announcement I'd like to make. Please welcome Charlotte Alpheus to the stage. Charlotte, surprised, she still went up the stage and stood next to the headmistress. As you all can see, I've gained a liking towards this student. From the school board, there's an elite section whereas only Charlotte's name was in. She has a black uniform, and from this day onwards she will be my acquaintance. Treat her with respect. I hope you all enjoy this day with your parents. Don't feel too bad for yourselves for not being able to pass. Remember, there's always next year. Amelia runs to her parents while Asher and Charlotte follows from behind. I didn't make it. Amelia whines to her parents. It's okay, Amelia. You tried. The Duchess tried to comfort her. You've raised a bar for the Alpheus family. I'm proud of you, Charlotte. You too, Asher. Congrats on passing. The Duke said, thanks father. Asher said, it wasn't a big deal anyway. You guys can have fun while I go do some things, but it's urgent. It wasn't urgent at all. Charlotte just wanted to do her own things and found her family a nuisance. Charlotte was passing by multiple parents and students. Houston from afar called, hey Charlotte, my parents want to meet you. Okay. Charlotte walks from her position over to Houston's. Mother, father, this is my roommate, Charlotte Alpheus. Ah, I see. So this is the elite first-year student and roommate of my son, his mother said excitedly. You've got a fine woman on your hands, son, his father said afterwards. Father, don't say that, Houston yelled in embarrassment. They look like a nice family, even for a noble himself. You don't see children of nobles get along with their parents very often. Greetings, Miss and Mr. Laurel, Charlotte says as she curtsies. A woman with manners. You don't see that around here that much anymore. Being respectful is always a crucial part to gain someone's favor, Charlotte says as she smiles. Smart girl. I see you're having fun with your parents. I have some errands to run. I'll see you at the dormitory. Charlotte excuses herself and goes to the school garden. She sees Ain standing there. What's he doing here? Hi Ain, why are you here? Huh? I'm a second year in this academy. Whoa. Why are you surprised, Miss Elite? Don't call me that. Someone else pops up. It's a girl and she's blushing. Ain, I have to apologize. I don't have feelings for you. The girl runs away crying. You didn't even let her finish speaking. Yeah, but I already knew what was gonna happen. I keep getting confessions and I find it irritating. Now that I think about it, Ain is really attractive. What am I thinking about? It's been a while since I've last seen you. Wanna go out today? I don't see your parents and we got a free day today and a week before class. Sure. They went to the Capitol. Chapter 16. Ain and Charlotte were at the Capitol, but then sudden mentions of Charlotte's name kept getting talked about. Am I really that popular? Charlotte thinks as she frowns. What's wrong? Ain asks. I hear my name everywhere. What's happening? You're pretty popular around here. You have your own rank at the highest ranking academy, defeated a monster, won the swordsman competition and also saved women that were captured. What did you expect? I forgot I did all those, she says laughing. Do people fear me now? Most likely. PFT. Charlotte sees a gang pull up in front of them, a bunch of no-good robbers, so I can't even rest outside of the academy. How nice. The gang leader spoke up. Listen up folks. If you don't give us your items and money we won't be playing nice. They all had weapons in their hands. Charlotte appears in front of them. Hey, can you not disturb my outing? Who are you? I'll show you who I am. I'll give you 3 seconds. If you don't leave I'll deal with you myself. Ha. And what do you think you can do? 3. Isn't that the infamous Charlotte Alpheus? She's wearing a black uniform. 2. I wonder what's gonna happen. 1. Still not moving? You're asking for it this time. Come at me. Why should we fight you? You're gonna end up dead. The ones who are gonna end up 6 feet under are you guys. Charlotte snaps her hand and their weapons disintegrate. Huh? Now it's a fair fist fight. If you don't come first, I'll charge at you bitches. Charlotte's fist glow golden flames. The men proceeded and charged at Charlotte. When one of the men held his fist out trying to punch her, she held his fist and lifted him up with ease, then threw him 20 feet above the ground. Who's next? Charlotte scoffs. How dare you? The men charged at Charlotte all at once and landed on her flat on the ground. But that didn't stop her. She stood up like it was nothing while they were holding on to both of her arms. She lifts the piling men on her arms and throws them all together up to the sky. They started getting smaller as the distance got further and finally formed a shining star shape in the sky. That's Charlotte Alpheus for you, she says and shrugs, then goes to Ain. Cheers started forming from small crowds that witnessed Charlotte do that. So, how'd I do? Amazing as always. Shall we go on with our date? Who said it was a date? 'Cause I sure didn't. Yeah sure. They enjoyed the rest of their time at the Capitol and it became evening. They both were back at their separate dorms. Where were you? The headmistress was looking for you all day. Houston whined to Charlotte. Huh? I didn't know. I was at the Capitol with my friend. You better go to the headmistress's office immediately. Yeah, no fucking shit. I'll see you at dinner. Charlotte sprints to the headmistress's office. I apologize ma'am, I was out in the Capitol with a friend, Charlotte says and bows to the headmistress. No worries, it's alright. I heard some news that you threw gang members up into the sky. Mind explaining that? After she finishes explaining, I see. Well, I have called you here for a surprise. As you can see, there's another office next to me. That is yours. Me? I have my own office? Huh? Since when? What? Charlotte was shocked of this news. You're quite surprised, but as my acquaintance you should have your own private office. Thank you. What's the matter? Do you not like it? No, don't get me wrong. I sincerely appreciate your effort. This is just a lot to take in for me. Anyways, what am I supposed to do in my office? You can do your assignments in there and I will also have to check some documents. I know that one of your conditions are for you not to follow me like a pest, but sometimes you also have to accompany sometimes during special announcements. You also have more authority with professors, meaning they can't defy you. I have also told the professors that you have more authority than them. Whoa. Well, alright. All I have to do is come here and sit in my office to do my work and check some documents after class, right? Affirmative. If there's any trouble you can inform me. That is all. You may take your leave now. Thanks ma'am. Well, I certainly did not expect that. Charlotte was back at her dorm. Hey Houston, I'm starving. Can we eat dinner now? Yeah sure. You better tell me what happened at the headmistress's office. Yeah, I'll tell you all about it later after we get dinner. They both walked to the cafeteria. Gossip went around like quick fire. Charlotte didn't think about it too much and tried to line up for her meal, but then someone threw a glass cup at the floor. How dare you, Charlotte Alpheus, throw a glass cup at me? I didn't do nothing. All I did was line up for my food. You damned liar. Someone call a professor. Moments later, a professor arrives at the cafeteria. What's all this ruckus? This student, Charlotte Alpheus, threw a glass cup at me. I didn't. You realize we have witnesses, right? Some random guy came up and said, I saw Charlotte throw the glass cup at her. Absolute bullshit. Wait, Charlotte Alpheus? I'm so sorry Miss Charlotte, please don't tell the headmistress about me. The professor kept bowing to Charlotte. The people around them were confused, especially the girl and guy who accused Charlotte. Lift your head, apologizing isn't necessary. Plus if you check the glass, there won't be any of my fingerprints, thus proving my innocence. Professor, check the handprints immediately. Right away, miss. And stop calling me miss, I'm your student. The professor nods and lifts the glass with Mana and checks the fingerprints. They only found the fingerprints of the girl who accused Charlotte. So, Charlotte is innocent, as expected. Miss Charlotte, you have the power to expel them, you know? I what? Indeed. The headmistress walks in from behind. Ma'am, you didn't tell me that. Sorry Charlotte, I forgot to inform you. Anyway, Hello everybody. Everyone stands up to greet the headmistress. I have given Charlotte more authority than the professors. At the announcement, when I meant you should respect her, I was serious. If any of you try to frame Charlotte ever again, you know what's going to happen to you. As for you two, the ones who defied Charlotte, you're both expelled. Why are you giving me this privilege, headmistress? The headmistress walks up to Charlotte and whispers in her ear, how could I not give privilege to the highest ranking goddess herself, Estella Deville? Eh? You knew? As the headmistress, I could sense a faint source of strong divine energy from you. I see now, they said, still whispering. People around them were still shocked. The headmistress has already walked out and waved to Charlotte. Charlotte went to grab her food and went over to Houston. You better explain everything thoroughly. To be honest, I'm not even sure myself, but okay. Charlotte explains herself while everyone stares and listens into her conversation. They eat and have fun for the rest of the time they spent at the cafeteria and went back to their dorms to have a rest. Chapter 17. Although having a week's break off from the academy, students still roam the halls. They are able to go visit their family, but some decide to stay behind at the campus. Charlotte is one of those who stayed behind. And so did Dane and Houston. Charlotte and Dane refuse to meet their family, but Houston is a different situation. His parents are going out to another country to attend business, leaving him behind at the academy. I thought you'd follow your parents. They left before saying anything to me, plus it's for business, I shouldn't interfere. Well, I see. What should we do? I'm so bored. I don't know. What is there to do on campus? I literally just asked you what we should do. Do you think I would know? We're both freshmen, you know. A random voice came out of nowhere. This might be a surprise that a random voice is coming out from nowhere, but it's a mono voice transferring. Moving on, may all students who have stayed behind come to the main hall. Charlotte and Houston gets out of their dorm and walks to the main hall. When everyone is gathered up, the headmistress steps forward and gives a speech. Hello all. I hope you guys are having a fine afternoon. I've thought that you might have been bored in this academy without a thing to do. So, I have gathered you all here to give a little surprise. We're going to witness Two Kingdoms Knights sword fight. Pack your bags of 4 days 3 nights because we're leaving early tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So gather up in the main hall at 7 a.m. sharp so we can prepare for departure. We will be traveling by a monocircle. After the speech, the students go back to their dorms to pack for a trip. It's like she read our minds. Honestly though, they chat as they pack their luggage. It's the next morning as Charlotte wakes up bright and early at 6 a.m. and gets ready for the day. She checks on Houston, but he was still snoring in bed. Charlotte tried to wake Houston up and fails, so she takes water and sprays it on him. What was that for? To wake you. Obviously. Go get ready, we gotta get to the main hall at 7. Yeah, okay. Houston gets up from his lazy ass and gets ready for the trip. After they both were done, they head to the main hall early with luggage in their hands. Looks like they were the first ones there. Well, they thought. Ain and the headmistress were already waiting for the rest of the students. Hey Ain. Greetings headmistress. Charlotte yelled from afar, catching their attention, then walking to them. Hello Charlotte, said the headmistress. Hi Miss Elite, said Ain. Call me that again and I'll smash your head. Sure. Greetings headmistress, and Charlotte's friend, said Houston. That name's Ain. Hello Ain. I'm Houston. It was now 7:30. I see there's only 30 minutes left till the headmistress makes the monocircle. You're helping, right, Charlotte? Asked the headmistress. Well, I can infuse my share of mana to make the circle last longer if that's what you're asking for. Perfect. I see. It is time for departure. Shall we create the monocircle now, headmistress? We shall. The headmistress and professors make the monocircle while Charlotte infuses her mana to make it last longer. Students start going into the circle. When they were all in the circle, the staff and Charlotte enter the circle too. It closes up and transport them to the Wing Night Kingdom. They appeared in front of a huge hotel building. The headmistress grabs a microphone and announces, "This hotel is owned by Zizuo Academy, which is also where you all will be staying. You each will have a new roommate for the time being you're here. A key will appear in a bubble in front of you once this speech is over. So please have a good time here as the battle will be tomorrow." After the speech, Charlotte checked her key and it had numbers 389 on it. It was on the 4th floor of the building. Charlotte went to her room to greet her new roommate. Charlotte sees Anne and drops her luggage. Hey Charlotte, didn't think I'd be seeing you here. Why are all my roommates the opposite sex? Charlotte frowns and says, cheer up, is it really that bad being stuck with me? Anyway, the rooms are very luxurious. Charlotte looks around and sees gold marble everywhere around the room and fancy furniture, with their own small pool on the balcony. Well, it really is luxurious for a hotel room. I'll go to my own bedroom now. Alright. After you're done, let's head to breakfast. Is it a free buffet? Most likely, since the hotel is owned by ZZUO Academy. Charlotte smiles brightly at the news of free food and goes to her room and unpacks. She gets out of her black uniform, wears a bright blue knee-length dress with a white corset. It looked like what you would wear in an outing without any of the fluffiness. She looked drop-dead gorgeous even though it was a plain dress. Charlotte got out of her room and then dragged Dane to the buffet room. Slow down bro, I'm hungry. Don't test me. Random fangirl females. Who's that with Ain? That's Charlotte Alpheus, the head student and headmistress's acquaintance. I heard she got 2 troublemakers expelled just like that. How can a freshman do that? I hate how she's hanging with Ain. How dare she take what's ours? We're finally here. Your fangirls were a different type of obsessed. I know right? They get on my nerves. Oh my lord. All you can eat. Charlotte grabs a plate and sprints around everywhere getting food while Ain also picks up a plate and gets food for himself. Chapter 18. While Charlotte and Ain was enjoying their food, a silvered hair man approached Charlotte, took her hand and gave it a peck. What's this dude's problem? I'm trying to eat here bro, can you see? So this is the top student in ZZUO Academy. You're truly gorgeous like the rumors say. I'm Prince Louis of Wing Knight. When did I ask? Charlotte gets up from her seat irritated and greets the prince. Greetings Prince of Wing Knight. It's an honor to be in your presence. She tries to hide her irritated expression behind her smile. Ain glares at Louis while he glares back. What's with the two? Now that I think about it, I don't even know Ain's last name or origin. Charlotte sits back down and enjoys her meal. Louis turns his gaze back to Charlotte. Enjoy your meal Malady. I was before you interrupted. Ah, thank you. You too. When Louis left, Ain said, what's his problem? I don't know. Why are you asking me? Plus why were you guys glaring at each other? Me and him have a very complicated relationship. I see. I shouldn't meddle in their business. They finished their very filling meal. They chatted when they were both walking back to their room. That sure was a good meal. I'm glad I didn't have to pay for anything. Indeed. I wonder if we're allowed to leave the premises. I'll go ask the headmistress now. You're coming with me, right? Sure. They run to where the headmistress's room and knock. It was the most luxurious suite in the hotel, as expected of the headmistress. Ah, hello Charlotte and Ain. Come have a seat and have some tea. They both take a seat at the couch while a servant places tea on the coffee table. So, why have you come here? The headmistress asks while sipping on tea. I was wondering if we were allowed to leave the hotel room and explore Wing Night ourselves. Well, I did put a tracking spell on each student before we arrived here. I trust you. Are you going with anyone else? I'm probably gonna go with Houston and Ain. Well, if they agree. I don't see a problem with them both following you. Be safe though. We don't know what Wing Night has in store for us. Yes ma'am. They excuse themselves and head towards Houston's room and knock on their door. Hello Charlotte. Asher, her brother, answers the door. Didn't you go back with father and mother? I stayed behind for personal reasons. Anyways, do you have anything you seek? I wish to talk to Houston, brother. Very well. Asher calls for Houston and the three discuss how they were gonna leave the hotel and explore Wing Night. Not a bad idea. I'm getting pretty bored in the hotel room. Let's go explore. I'm up. The trio went out to have fun. They hop onto a carriage and arrive at the capital of Wing Night. Whoa. The Wing Night capital was way bigger than Dianlee's capital. There was a marble two-headed wolf statue that was in the middle, symbolizing the Wing Night crest, whilst Dianlee's had a fountain. The food in Wing Night were much different from Dianlee's. I've never seen that before. Smoke's coming out from the snack. Charlotte said, I think those are liquid nitrogen dessert balls. You want one? Houston asked. Yeah, let's go get them. They buy the dessert balls and eat them, Then they go into a dessert shop to have a seat and eat cake. These foods are truly something. I've never had them before. Wing Knight has many intriguing things, Prince Louis says as he walks up to Charlotte. When did he get here? Greetings Prince Louis of Wing Knight, Charlotte says, then sits back down. You can drop formalities. We're friends now, right? Since when? Alright. Charlotte looks at Houston and Anne. They both had a disgusted face displayed on them. I have duties to attend. I'll see you later, Malady. Wanna bet that he was following us? Houston said. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. They had already explored the capital and it was evening. Let's head back. When they were heading back, they found themselves dozing off on the street and waking up in a cell. What the fuck? Charlotte exclaimed. She looks around the room and sees Anne and Houston tied up with other hostages. Wake up, Anne. Houston, stop causing all this ruckus. The auction is going to go get hosted soon. Be ready, slaves, a random dude said. A few moments late, Houston woke up following Anne. You guys are finally up. The slave auction's gonna start soon and we're the slaves. Why aren't you getting yourself out then? Cause I'm gonna kill the people involved once I get up on stage. If I'm not wrong, I'm gonna be the first to appear. Once I'm up on stage, you help the hostages and get out of here. I can handle these guys myself. Got ya. Hey girl, get up, we're going to the stage now. You're pretty, so you should be able to find a decent owner. Charlotte doesn't hesitate and follows the guy up to the stage. We have this pretty girl here. Anyone want to start the bid? 200 gold, 300 gold, 400 gold. Charlotte starts laughing even though she had chains attached to her body. Is she psycho? I don't know. Really? Do you think I'm pathetic enough to be sold off like this? Charlotte breaks the chains off her body like it was tearing paper with her hands. The host was shocked. I'm gonna burn this whole place down, so you better run. I'll give you 10 seconds. Every one of you. Charlotte turns to the host that was on the ground. Also, the people who kidnapped me are already dead. Plus your other hostages are fleeing right as we speak. Charlotte smiles brightly as she counts down. People start fleeing the auction. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You lived a horrible life. By now, don't sell slaves in your next life. Charlotte's hand started aflame as it grew bigger and bigger. She spreads the flames all around the building, killing off the abductees and people who were involved. She extinguishes the flames and runs off to the exit where the hostages, Anne and Houston, were gathered up. You guys can go back your homes now. You're freed. Thank you guys so much. The hostages thank them and then go off. Well, that sure was something. It's already dark out, we have to run back to the hotel. Don't have to tell me twice. They sprint back to their rooms just in time without getting caught. Chapter 19. It was the day that two kingdoms have an arena battle. The students have already gathered up to watch the fight. It was between the Elrod Kingdom and Wing Knight Kingdom. Cheers surrounded the arena grounds as the two knights fought. Who do you think is gonna win? Charlotte asks both Anne and Houston, as they were sitting next to her. I'm rooting for the knight from Elrod, Anne said. But we're in Wing Knight right now, Houston responded. Still doesn't change my opinion. The fight was happening. Wing Knight's knight charged towards Elrod's. Elrod's dodged Wing Knight's hit and swerved under him, hitting his arm. Wing Knight's knight caught Elrod's knight and hit his sword, causing Elrod's sword to fly up while launching to Charlotte's direction. She caught the sword's handle easily. What am I supposed to do now? I don't know. Throw it? Are you telling me to throw the sword and hit some random person? Charlotte gets up from her seat and goes down to give the sword back to the knight, but Wing Knight's knight got in between Elrod's knight and Charlotte. Duel with me, young maiden. The fuck? No. Charlotte goes around Wing Knight's knight and attempts to give Elrod's knight's sword back, but Wing Knight attacks Charlotte. The audience gasps. What the fuck was that for? You're fighting Elrod, not a spectator. You have held the sword, now you must fight, he announces. Bro, I was supposed to enjoy this fight, not play in it. It's fight or die, Wing Knight's knight declared to the whole audience as he charged towards Charlotte once more. You people are really annoying. Charlotte jumps over Wing Knight's knight and hits his back. He falls over. Can I go now? The knight crawls as fast as he can and charges towards Charlotte, catching her off guard. Come on, man. Charlotte runs around the knight and jumps up, clashing with Wing Knight's knight sword. You know, you're not supposed to fight me, right? When a person yields a sword, They must fight. What kind of logic is that? Wing Knight's logic. You've picked the wrong person to fight with. Charlotte unmatched her sword with Wing Knight's and runs around him, kicking him in the back and tumbling over. His sword flies in the air and Charlotte jumps and grabs his sword. Now both swords are pointing to his neck. The crowd applauds for Charlotte, as they have never seen a young lady defeat a knight like that before. Stop picking fights with randoms. You're too ruthless. Charlotte drops both the swords and then leaves, but it wasn't over yet. The Wing Knight's knight grabbed the fallen sword and pierces Charlotte's back, causing her to fall on her knees. The crowd gasps once again. Houston and Ain come running down to the arena grounds halfway, but Charlotte gets up. You're really prideful, aren't you? Stabbing a person even though they have defeated you. Charlotte takes at the sword from her chest and the wound disappears. She throws the sword for Elrod's knight to pick it up. She then walks towards Wing Knight's knight, who had already got down his legs and crawled further away from Charlotte. You're lucky this is an arena where people are watching, or else I would have killed you by now. Charlotte threatens and walks away from the arena grounds towards Ain and Houston, who were watching from not far. That was intense, Charlotte says and frowns. How did you heal yourself like that? Houston asked. She's done it before. Ain says. You almost got killed twice? Houston confused and shocked. Yeah, whatever, can we get back now? This is frustrating. The headmistress with a nervous expression on her face goes up to Charlotte and asks, are you alright? I'm fine, ma'am. It's okay. I'm completely healed. After the rest of the other night's battle, they head back to a restaurant booked especially just for them. I wonder if we can sue Wing Knight's knights, Houston told Charlotte. I mean, technically we probably can. I won't though, it'd just cause us more trouble, plus all I wanna do is eat, Charlotte said. I mean, I'd probably sue them, Ain added. We're going to a fancy restaurant, so stop talking about earlier. You act like you have never had fancy cuisines before. I mean, who would not be excited for food? They enter the restaurant and sit at a table just for the three of them that the headmistress booked. The first dish was a lobster thermidor, a classic French dish where the lobster shell is stuffed with a creamy mixture of meat, egg yolks and brandy. It was delicious. They ate it with a poached egg on the side. They had some wine on to finish off their meal. Cheers for our trip. Cheers, the trio exclaimed together. After a few hours, they head back to their hotel rooms. Charlotte got into a swimsuit and went to their own private pool and jumped in. It was really refreshing. Ain also walked next to the pool, still his white button-up shirt. Charlotte pulled Ain into the pool and water splashed all over the balcony. You're so childish. I know, but it's refreshing, isn't it? I'm legit freezing. Shall I warm up the pool? Please do. Charlotte uses her mana to warm up the pool. Just like a warm bath but filled with chlorine. Now this is the type of pool I like. MHM, a random voice appeared from nowhere. They gotta give us a warning beforehand, goddamn. Hello students, this is another mana voice transferring announcement. I apologize if I have scared any of you. There's gonna be a banquet being held tomorrow night, so dress for the occasion. The voice disappears. A banquet. I dislike banquets. They annoy me. I get what you mean. They spend an hour or two in the pool and get out to get dressed for bed. So this is Charlotte's room. Great. The person goes into their hotel room through collision magic and messes up all Charlotte's dresses. This is for stealing Ain. They whisper to themselves. Chapter 20. It was a new morning. Charlotte yawns as she wakes up. She was only half awake and stands up to walk to the bathroom. She feels random cloth on the floor. She looks down in horror and runs to Ain's room. Ain, she yells, waking up Ain. Did you know what happened last night when we were sleeping? All my clothes having been torn to shreds, she says angrily. Like hell I know, I was asleep the whole time. Someone must have gone into my room and messed up my clothes. Now who in their right mind would do that? Probably some random girl who has a grudge on you, he says and yawns after. Who would have a grudge on me? All I do is intimidate men. Someone probably holds a grudge on you for spending time with me. I can expel people, right? You gonna expel them for ruining your clothes? They technically invaded my privacy and also ruined my clothes. Isn't that harassment? I guess so. Do whatever. You're the elite after all. Yeah, but what will I wear? All my clothes are ruined. I'll let you borrow my clothes. Alright. Ain tosses his clothing to Charlotte and they get dressed. Charlotte wore his oversized white shirt and pants. Sweet. The look on their faces when they see me wearing your clothes. Is that your way of revenge? Yeah, and then I'm gonna expel them. I already know who did this when I was getting dressed since I placed a magic spell around my room to see the surroundings. Creepy but okay. Yeah, whatever, let's go down now. Right behind you. They walk down and students gasp and whisper around them. Rumors start. I saw this coming. Charlotte sighed. The headmistress walks up to Charlotte and questions, Charlotte, may I ask why are you wearing Anne's clothes? Charlotte explains the situation and asks the headmistress if she can expel the culprit in front of the students. I see. I will allow you to expel her. Next time, you don't have to ask me if you want to expel anyone. Just come to me at the end of the month to inform me how many people you've expelled. Alright. I have an announcement to make at the main hall of the hotel. You can expose the culprit then. When will the announcement be held? Around after breakfast is over. You two should head to eat now. Will do. They both walked to where Houston was sitting and they served food. Houston asks, why are you wearing Anne's clothes? Long story short, someone went into my room and ruined my clothes. You found out who it is yet? Yep. I'm gonna expel them. Damn. They eat their food and gathered in the hotel's main hall. Charlotte was of course up on stage with the headmistress. Greetings to all. I hope you all have been enjoying this trip so far. As you all know, there's a banquet tonight. I forgot to tell you that it's being held at the Royal Palace of Wingnight, and so the royals will also be there. I hope you all will be respectful towards them. Thank you. I also welcome Charlotte to give another announcement. Charlotte goes up to the microphone and says, hello all, as you may have heard the rumors from earlier. They are false. Someone went into my room last night and torn all my clothes. That is why I have borrowed Dane's clothes. As for the real culprit, I shall present to you who came into my room. A magical projector projects a video of a young girl getting into Charlotte's room, burning and shredding her dresses. As you can see, the culprit is among you all right now. If you don't stand up immediately, I'll have to go by force. The young girl doesn't move and sits still. I see that you are trying to maintain as calm as possible, but I won't let this slide. Charlotte uses mana to lift the young culprit up into the air, letting everyone to see who she is. You, who trespassed, invaded my privacy and ruined my belongings just cause of a mere crush. You shall be held accountable for your wrongdoings. Therefore, I will hereby expel you from the academy. The young girl slowly drops down from the air and guards escort her back to Dianely where her home was. Provoking me is a big mistake. Charlotte finishes and sits back down. After the announcement, she sprints to Anne and Houston sitting alone at the table waiting for her. That was awesome, Char. Houston exclaimed. I did what had to be done. You sure did. Anne followed. I'm gonna go buy dresses for tonight banquet. You guys coming? Sure, both of them said. They arrive at the capital and go into boutiques. There were many varieties of dresses from short to long, from elegant to sexy. A special blue dress that was covered in small blue and white flowers with elegant sleeves. You should get that one, Houston said. I agree. Anne said. I also approve. I'm gonna go pay for it. Charlotte takes the dress, a few other clothes and accessories to the cashier and pays. It was already 7 p.m. and the students were getting ready for the banquet. Every lady needs an escort, right? Anne says to Charlotte. If I shall, gladly. They walk down the stairs gracefully, like a perfect couple. Charlotte looked gorgeous. She had light makeup on and dandelion earrings, her dress dragging down the stairs. Anne on the other hand looked like a charming prince. He had a suit on, magnificent. The students' mouths hung open wide as they went down. Houston goes up to them. Oh la, what do we have here? You're gorgeous, Charlotte. He lifts her hand and gives it a peck. I'm always pretty. Yeah, whatever. He rolls his eyes and the trio chuckles. They all got in a magic circle and teleported to the royal palace. It was huge. It was possibly bigger than the royal Dianely's palace. They walked in, the ladies having the men as escorts. Houston was escorting a young girl so he didn't miss out. Golden marble displayed everywhere. It was like a dream. Chapter 21. They have already entered the ballroom. Of course, Charlotte's first move was to go to the food section, but she got blocked by 3 women. Charlotte, how fierce was it? How about you join us? No. Now if you'll excuse me. Charlotte goes around them and the leader of the group threw a glass of champagne at her back. Oops. Charlotte uses her mana secretly, and lifts 5 champagne glasses on a tray and pours the liquid on the woman. "Ah, you're so clumsy," she smirkingly says. "You." The woman stormed off to dry herself while her 2 friends followed her. Charlotte dries herself with heat from her mana and goes to enjoy some desserts. Trumpets play and red carpet has been laid out. We welcome the imperial family of Wing Knight. His Majesty the King of Wing Knight, Her Majesty the Queen of Wing Knight, the Prince of Wing Knight and the Princess of Wing Knight. Everyone stands up and bows down to them as they get to their thrones. The king announces, "Greetings to all, I hope you have a lovely night here." The banquet shall commence. They applaud and music start playing. Anne goes up to Charlotte. "May I have this dance?" "Gladly." They danced graciously on the ballroom floor. The first song was finally over. After, Houston also requested a dance from Charlotte. Of course she agreed, and then the second song went by. She got to her seat and sat peacefully. "My legs hurt from all that dancing." The Prince of Wing Knight, Louis, approaches Charlotte. "Shall we?" "I thought this couldn't get any worse." "Sure." Louis escorts Charlotte to the dance floor and the third song begins. They danced like 2 lovely swans. Both of elegance, Charlotte tried to hide her uncomfortable expression and kept dancing. She accidentally steps on Louis's foot and got swept off her feet. A moment later her pose was like she was falling mid-air, Louis's arm on her waist. Just like a play, Charlotte got back on both her feet and continued the dance. The third song was over. "I apologize for stepping on your foot earlier." She apologizes to Louis. "No worries," he says and smiles. She shows an awkward smile back, but he thought nothing of it. Charlotte went back to sit as she was exhausted from dancing. Louis on the other hand goes up to his father and whispers something. The king got up and says, "This banquet was held for a secret purpose, and that was to find my son's fiancée, also known as the future Queen of Wing Knight. My son has chosen the woman he wants, and that is Charlotte Alpheus." Everyone gasps. Charlotte held her mouth wide open. It was unbelievable. She never wanted to have a fiancé this early. "I object." Charlotte replies to the king, "State your reason." "I never planned on engaging myself at an early age like this. I've only met Louis briefly. Therefore, I'm not suitable for him." "I apologize, Your Majesty, but I must object." "You dare reject my son? How dare you provoke me?" "Guards!" "When did I provoke you, huh?" "All I did is reject your son, you moron." 6 guards sprint towards Charlotte. She was standing right in the center of the ballroom. The charging knights came at Charlotte simultaneously. Charlotte jumps around the area, removing each knight's armor off one by one. She stealthily steals a sword from a knight and cuts off her long dress so she can move easier. Dodging every knight's hit, their armor had been completely removed. Although they had swords in their hands, except one which Charlotte stole from, so he backed out. Charlotte does a 1 vs 5 and goes through them each with ease. "I'm sorry," Charlotte whispers to the knights while preparing to battle them. She swiftly runs through them, chopping their heads off. Flying, Charlotte's sword pierces through the heads one by one. Like a kebab, their bodies fall on their knees and to the ground. The ground became a blood pool, Charlotte being the center of it all. Her hands were bloody. Her dress went from an elegant blue color to a wilted red bloody rose color. People were traumatized from the scene they had just witnessed. The king had his eyes widened. Charlotte takes a deep breath and walks up to the king, blood trailing behind her. She says, "Now this is called provoking. Thanks to you I'm all covered in blood. You're lucky you're the king of this kingdom," Charlotte adds at the end, turning around and walking back. A large ray of blinding light covers Charlotte and the blood on her was gone. Her dress went back to its original length. A once bloody sword with 5 heads pierced through has now become a shiny silver sword. She looked like a determined warrior goddess standing there. She turns to the crowd and says, "I apologize for the ruckus," finishing then bowing in front of them all. Charlotte drops her sword and walks outside to the palace garden. It was wider and larger than the Duke Estate's garden and Diane's palace garden combined. There was also a small hedge maze that had less routes that people can easily go in and out. Charlotte heads into the hedge maze. A voice appears behind her. "You good?" Charlotte turns around and sees Lorenzo with white tulips in his hands. "I'm fine. It's just hard to process. Wherever I go I always have to involve myself and it's frustrating. I saw you back there. I thought you were really cool, to be honest." "When am I not cool?" "Good point." They caught up with each other and laughed, even though Lorenzo already knew everything that happened to her as he was secretly watching from afar. Not the stalker kind, When she's in trouble he's always there to watch and ready to strike a move if anyone tries to harm her. Lorenzo puts a white tulip in her hair and says, I don't have any much time here before I fade away again. I'll see you again soon. Try to remember me. Ella. I'll see you again soon then. Charlotte gives Lorenzo a peck on the cheek and he fades away while giving a soft smile. After, they had already head back to the hotel. It was already the last night they'd spend there. Anne was sleeping soundly and Charlotte held her crescent necklace tightly as she closed her eyelids and dozed off. Chapter 22. Flashback. It was 5,000 years before Estella's reign as she has not fully awakened her divine powers yet. She was only still mid-tier goddess. Well, she was really enjoying life as she didn't have to do work. She had a friend named Ezekiel. Well, that was his last name. He refused to tell her his first name but she didn't mind. She had two other friends named Julius and Alia. The three were mid-tiers but Ezekiel refused to reveal his rank. They understood and spent the time together all the time. They went through different realms together disguised as humans. It was really fun and they enjoyed it a bunch. They ate human foods, which were surprisingly very good as gods don't need food or water to survive. They're immortal gods after all. Ezekiel and Estella were the closest out of the four. They'd spend their time together all the time and travel through different realms. Well, that was until they accidentally hopped into the forbidden monster realm. It was dark and eerie. They didn't know what to do and was afraid. Monsters coexisted with gods and they were the only things that could corrupt a god's soul. They were running deeper into the realm but they didn't know it. It was too hard to see the light exit. A high-tier monster ran up to them, looking for its next feast. They ran and ran, but the high-tier monster chased them with maximum speed. It was a dead end. Ezekiel and Estella were cornered. I'll hold him back. Ella, run for your life. I can't leave you here, please. The monster walked up to them, his mouth drooling. Ezekiel pushes away Estella and watched as Ezekiel get devoured by the monster. His final words were, I love you. Estella's eyes flowed with tears as she ran. A light portal had appeared in front of her eyes and a hand pulled through to grab her. It was Julius, Alia standing beside him. What's the matter? Ezekiel. Estella couldn't comprehend her closest friend dying right in front of her. She kept stuttering when she tried explaining. Completely traumatized by the scene, they cast a spell on Estella so she would forget how Ezekiel looked like to calm her down. After a while, she went to the holy well and swore upon for Ezekiel's sake that she would kill monsters that harm the gods. Seeking vengeance. 5,000 years later, she went through her awakening. She killed countless of monsters and deemed a nicknamed God of us all. She became the highest ranking goddess and managed all the gods' duties. She continued doing this just for Ezekiel's sake, always remembering his last words. Charlotte hears screams in her ear. Wake up, Charlotte. Anne yells. Charlotte sits up straight as her sweat runs down her face. You didn't wake up early and I found that strange. When I came into your room you were sweating and panting in your sleep. Ah, sorry. I was having a nightmare. I see. Are you okay? Did you think about what happened last night? No, it was something personal. I'm okay now. If anything's wrong just tell me. We have to get ready to go back to the academy. Go wash up. Alright. In the bathroom. Why did I remember that tragic incident? Tears roll down her face. She clears them up and dresses up. Your eyes are red. Yeah, some soap got in my eye. Nothing much. They were all gathered in the main hall with their suitcases in hand. The students went in the magic circle one by one and so did Charlotte and the academy staff. We're back home, Charlotte said and pulled the sound at the end. We sure are, Houston says walking up from behind Charlotte and puts his hand on her shoulder. Wing night was interesting. Must have been hard on you, Ain said also coming up to Charlotte putting his hand on her other shoulder. Ain waves to Charlotte and Houston and the three went back to their own dorms. Charlotte runs to her room and jumps on her bed. Finally, Charlotte grabs a book and reads it to pass the time. There were still 4 days before classes start. Charlotte chose to memorize the whole year of subjects in only a little over 2 days without any sleep. Her eye bags became darker by the day. Houston knocks on her door on the 3rd day. Charlotte, open up. I didn't see you come out of your room for the past 2 days at all. He walks in and sees Charlotte's drowsy expression. Dark eye bags and books surround her bed. Get up. What were you doing this whole time? You didn't even come out to eat. Charlotte attempts to stand up and speak but when she opened her mouth, she suddenly collapsed. Charlotte wakes up and found herself on her bed, She looks around and sees Houston's head on her bed while body on the floor. He's been taking care of her the whole day. Charlotte finally felt energized. She woke up Houston. "What happened?" she asked. "You tell me. You fainted and I had to carry you back on the bed and watch you all day, you know." "Thanks, buddy." Luckily, it was only 5 p.m. an hour right before dinner. Charlotte has been sleeping for 7 hours. "Classes start tomorrow. I don't know why you studied so hard even though it's only gonna be the first day tomorrow. Anyways, get dressed. Dinner starts in an hour." "I memorized the whole year worth of subjects." "What?" "Yep. Anyways, I'm gonna go get dressed." "Mkay." They had already gone down for dinner. As Charlotte walked the cafeteria halls, the students avoided her gaze. They were filled with fear knowing that they would end up dead if they messed with her. "This is making me uncomfortable." Charlotte frowns and grabs a tray of food. She goes to sit down with Houston and Ain. "What made you so under the weather?" Ain asks. "Nah, I just don't people staring at me. I'm just trying to eat." "Alright." They finished their food and dinner ended. They went back to their separate rooms to sleep. It was the first day of class tomorrow. Charlotte was excited but fell asleep after being too energized. Chapter 23. It was the start of the first day of class. Charlotte woke up hyped as ever. It was a few hours before class. She had already wore her custom black uniform. The students who have left with their parents have returned. It was rounded that 3/4 out of the freshmen, sophomore, junior and senior students left the academy to visit their parents. She ran to Houston's room and woke him up. "5 more minutes." "Shut up and get up, it's the first day of class." "Yeah, whatever." Charlotte managed to wake Houston up and waited for him to get ready. The school's uniform was really nice. Charlotte liked her black uniform a lot. It was nice how they had a magical book pouch to store their books and stationery. It was like a normal locker except it was portable, light and magical. They got out of their dorm and saw the hallway packed with people, new faces all round. Of course, eyes surrounded Charlotte as she stood out with her uniform. It was already normal for her so she didn't think anything of it. As the academy was packed, there of course gonna be more than one class. Luckily, Houston was in the same class as her. They went to the class and the students' gaze landed on Charlotte once more. They questioned her black uniform. The students have all been seated and the professor walks in. "Greetings, freshmen. I hope you all like the academy environment. Please introduce you all one by one, starting from the top left." All the students introduce themselves. "Hello, I'm Charlotte Alpheus. I hope we can get along." "The name's Houston Laurel." "Thank you. Now, I shall begin my first lecture." The professor finished the lesson and hands out a simple assignment as it was the first day after all. "Please put your assignments on my desk tomorrow morning." "Thank you." The next professor comes in and gives another lecture. The same thing happens. An assignment was given out once more. There were 4 periods each day: history, math, and language. Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays were sword training while Tuesdays and Thursdays were mana training. As it was Monday, the chief professors whom they call Mr. Hemsworth was the professor assigned for Charlotte's sword fighting class. The professor greeted himself and led the class to their own private arena built for that specific class. The academy was wealthy. "After all, class, this is your first day of sword training. We will advance 3 levels each year. Today's task is simple. Find a partner to spar with. Whoever gets 10 wins first will be the victor. The loser has to run 10 laps around the arena." Everyone had already found a partner, except Charlotte. Houston knew he would lose if he teamed up with Charlotte, so he found someone else. "Houston, that bastard." "Charlotte, it seems that you don't have a partner. Shall I be your sparring partner?" the professor offers. "Gladly," she said, smirking. The students had all finished sparring and running. Houston won against his teammate. The students requested for Charlotte and Professor Hemsworth to spar after they were done. It was time for the professor and Elite to spar. The students gathered around them both and watched them fight. They charged towards each other and matched swords, the professor trying to hold Charlotte back as much as possible while Charlotte also tries. Although the professor was better than the average human being, he was still not comparable to the highest ranking god. Charlotte had already beaten the professor to 9-0. It was the final sparring battle and Charlotte gave the professor a handicap. She used one hand to hold the sword. The professor, who didn't want to let him pry down, used both hands in full force to charge at Charlotte. Charlotte matched swords with him once more. swerving around him. The professor had knocked Charlotte down and was about to point her sword, but Charlotte grabbed his foot and let him slip down on the floor. She gained victory as she pointed the tip of her sword to his neck. 10-0. The crowd cheered for Charlotte's victory. The professor got up and congratulated Charlotte, as expected of the elite student. Houston said from behind, "Yeah, whatever. Class is over, right? Let's head to lunch." When the professor announces, "You guys can go back to the classroom and grab your wallets to lunch now and you're free to go. I need to finish 10 laps. As you all are confused, I shall explain. First period. History 8:00.A.M 9:00.A.M. Second period. Math 9:05.A.M 10:05.A.M. Third period. Language 10:10.A.M 11:10.A.M. Fourth period. Either sword training or mana training. 11:15.A.M 1:15.P.M. Lunch break 1:20.P.M 2:20.P.M. Class is over. Academy clubs optional 2:25.P.M 4:25.P.M. They get a 5-minute break in between each class, basically 6 hours and 25 minutes the average student. Charlotte heads to lunch, grabs the food and sees Ain waving in her direction. She went to his table and sat, eating. 2 senior men went up to Charlotte, hearing rumors about her and wanting to see her in action with her own eyes. Charlotte Alpheus. Charlotte turned to the 2. "I challenge you to a battle." This scene feels too nostalgic. "As you can see, I'm currently eating. So, no." She continued eating and the 2 suddenly got down on their knees and begged. The other students watched and some gasped. "We just want to see you in action." The 2 begged and whined. Charlotte was frightened by the scene. She hurriedly tells them to get up but they wouldn't budge. "Fine, please get up, you're embarrassing yourselves." "Well, and me? What do you want me to do?" "I don't want to battle you. I can show you my mana explosion." "That works too," the 2 men said. "These kids, really?" "I'll show you guys after I eat." "Wait for me." The 2 men sat at her table. Awkward tension built up. Don't worry, we're waiting." Okay." Charlotte finishes her food and gets up. "I'll wait. I didn't see Houston come to lunch today." "Hey Ain." Charlotte turns to Ain with a tray in her hands. "I haven't seen Houston come to lunch today. He wasn't following me." "Do you know what happened?" "I heard he went to help a professor out and had bread." "Oh, I see." The 2 seniors listening into their conversation. You 2 can follow me to the arena grounds now." At the arena grounds, the 2 seniors were watching from afar as Charlotte blew up the whole field and undid it in an instant. "That is all. I'm exhausted." "Can I go now?" "Thank you." "Lord Charlotte." "Call me that and I'll blow your heads off." At the dorms, Charlotte jumped on her bed. "Today was exhausting and it was my first day." Every day surprises me, in a bad way. Charlotte had already finished her assignments in her private office. So, she let go everything and dozed off. Chapter 24. The first 3 periods were already over. It was time for mana training class. Professor Haley was teaching Charlotte's class. "Hello students, I'm Professor Haley. You guys can just call me Miss Haley. I'm your mana training instructor. Since it's the first day of training, I shall test your mana level and assign your ranks. As you can see here, beside me is a magic ball which will display your mana level." The students line up and put their palms on the magic ball. Charlotte was last in line. Low, 25 rank, C. Medium, 26 to 75 rank, B. High, 76 to 100 rank, A. Houston got a mana level of 70, which was pretty high for average people. On average, people's mana levels were around 65 or so. It was finally Charlotte's turn. She placed her palm on the magic ball and it exploded. As expected. "Whoa, you're the second person to ever explode a magic ball." "Huh? Who's the first?" "I think his name was Ain or something." "Oh, I have all assigned you your ranks. Here are your ranking badges. You can increase your mana by consuming a mana stone, which is very rare." "As for you Charlotte, I never thought I'd have to give the unknown badge to anyone else other than Ain, but here you go." Thanks." The unknown badge was in a shield-like form with a question mark on it. "Nice." We have an hour left of class. I'll teach you how to use first level magic first. Please stand your grounds." Miss Haley snapped her fingers and a pile of hay appeared in front of each student. As you can see, There's a pile of hay in front of you. I'll teach you all how to use fire energy and growth energy. A flame appears on Miss Haley's hand and burns the hay. The students let out a whoa sound. Let's start with fire energy, shall we? First, imagine the amount of energy you want to let out. If you let out too much, your mana will rapidly decrease within a few seconds and you will faint from exhaustion. Of course, your mana recharges once you get enough rest. You should only use your maximum mana when you're in an emergency. Charlotte, please demonstrate. Got it. A medium-sized ball of flame appeared on Charlotte's palm and she threw it at her hay. It burned and turned into ashes. Great work. Now, everyone do what Charlotte did. All the students have passed the first trial. Now it was time to use growth energy. A glowing green ball floated on Miss Haley's hand. This is growth energy. When you want to use it, imagine it in your head and the ideal growth you want to use on your target. You can see the ashes in front of you. Turn them back to hay. Miss Haley threw the glowing green ball at the ashes and it grew back into hay. Demonstrate once more, Charlotte. Charlotte imagines her ideal growth and a green glowing ball appeared floating on her hand. She places it on the ashes and it turned back into hay. The students also attempted to do what they did. Some passed and some didn't. Well, it's harder to control growth energy than flame energy. That is all for now. You may go back to your classroom and grab your money to have lunch. Houston and Charlotte were walking together while they saw students gathered up at the school board. Charlotte and Houston went to see what was all the commotion about, and it seems that clubs are open once more. Houston, what club do you plan on joining? Not sure yet. Maybe the music club. You know how to play instruments? I'm pretty good with the piano. Oh, what about you? I don't know what clubs there are yet. Well, let's go eat. I'm sure. After they ate, well, I'll get going now. See you at the dorm, Houston. See you. Charlotte's at her own office and the headmistress comes in. Hello, headmistress. What brings you here? Greetings, Charlotte. I'm here to talk to you about something. Well, I assume you have already seen the school board. I've been wondering if you wanted to join the student council. Student council? There's something like that here? Well, of course, professors have their work to do after school, so we have set up a student council to discuss decisions and scout to see if there's anyone misbehaving. There's already 3 people in the student council that I have selected from each year this year, and you'd be 4th and final person to join as there are only 4 seats. Well, since they're the student council, they will have their own special uniform. Their uniforms are a dark shade of red. Since you already have a custom uniform, you don't have to wear the red one. Although I haven't given out the uniforms yet, so they'll be wearing normal student uniforms when you see them. I don't see why not. When do I meet them? If it's okay, we can go now. Since I've already informed them a possible new member might join, they have already prepared for you. Alright. Charlotte follows the headmistress to the student council room. She opens the door to see a luxurious room with a table right in the middle with 4 people sitting, food and water placed on tables and Mona heating them up, making them fresh. Whoa. Hello, students of the student council. Welcome, Charlotte Alpheus. Greetings, Charlotte said as she lifts her head. Familiar faces. Damon, Mabel and Anne. Charlotte. The 3 say. They all question. So you're our newest member? I guess so. I never knew you guys attended the academy. I'm a 3rd year and Mabel's a 4th year. Damon said. Well, may I ask what is the daily routine of being in the student council? Well, we have meetings every day and scout the area for 2 hours till clubs end. I see. Well, we have called off today to greet you. Anyway, after class tomorrow we usually gather up. That is all for today. The headmistress was still there and said, are you gonna scout in normal student uniforms? She tosses the red uniforms to the 3. Thanks, they say. Chapter 25. Charlotte had to wake up early, leaving Houston to wake himself up. She went to eat breakfast and went to the student council's room. End of Block 1.